Chapter 1344. What a powerful Saint's Sword Principle. Meanwhile, the Void Mountain's young master, who had been sent flying, was also shocked. In the collision just now, Xiao Zun of Void Mountain clearly felt that Tianyang's cultivation was only at the intermediate saint realm, and he was already a human great saint. That was to say, Su Tianxiao was far weaker than him in terms of cultivation. However, Su Tianxiao could still defeat him in a head-on confrontation. However, if it's only the Saint Realm Sword Principle, it can't compare to the Saint Path of a Supreme Saint. Xiao Zun of Void Mountain smiled and waved his hand. 4 Saint Paths were all the Saint Paths he had when he first entered the Saint Realm. Now, he was a human great saint. The Saint Paths he had mastered had reached the number of 7 Saint Paths. Saint Realm Sword Principle, Void Dao, Primordial Spirit Saint, Vital Essence Saint, and Destruction Dao. Streaks of destructive power exploded on the Void Sword. Then, the young master of Void Mountain disappeared again. He had completely disappeared. Even Tianyang's primordial spirit couldn't sense any trace of Xiao Zun of Void Mountain. Boom! With a loud sound, a sword burning with terrifying black flames slashed toward Tianyang's head. Tianyang's pupils contracted. Void Mountain's movement technique was really difficult to deal with. However, Tianyang's lips curled up. Destruction, true flames. Boom! Compared to Xiao Zun of Void Mountain's Destruction Dao, the terrifying spiritual fire surged out from the ground. It blocked Xiao Zun of Void Mountain's sword in midair. Tianyang didn't hold back at all and pointed his sword at the sky. 10,000 Mammoth Annihilation. The 9 Saint Paths merged perfectly. Tianyang's might was unparalleled at the moment. Even the surrounding space was sealed by the power of the 9 Saint Paths, so Xiao Zun of Void Mountain couldn't use the strange movement technique of merging with the void. He could only meet Tianyang head-on. Boom! Black flames collided with black flames. However, the destruction true flames, which had merged with countless spiritual fires, was obviously much more tyrannical than flames formed by pure Saint Path power. Xiao Zun of Void Mountain sword was completely destroyed in one blow. In Tianyang's Sea of Soul, the Tianxiao sword instantly attached itself to the Great Void Sword embryo. Martial soul talent, sky-devouring secret skill. All the spiritual energy in the surroundings surged into Tianyang's body. Tianyang's cultivation instantly stepped into the high-level half-saint realm. Boom! With one strike, the Void Mountain Xiao Zun was sent flying. The white robe on the surface of his body actually flashed with a mysterious light, helping the Void Mountain Xiao Zun block almost 70% of the attack power. Of Zun of Void Mountain Zun Zun, Zun of Zun Zun, Zun of Zun, Zun of Zun of Zun of Zun of Zun of Zun, a Void Zun of Zheng of Realm of Zun is yes. Zun of you of Zhou Zun of Zish of Zun of you. Get out of my way. At this moment, Void Mountain's Xiao Zun, who had landed on the ground, roared angrily and made the mid-level saint retreat. He realized that there seemed to be some blood on his white robe. It's been a long time, Void Mountain's Xiao Zun said with a smile. It's been a long time since someone made me vomit blood. The Southern Devil Sea is indeed a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Any random genius can injure me. If that's the case, I won't hold back either. Otherwise, it would be disrespectful to the peerless genius. The young master of the Void Mountain had a strong fighting spirit on his face. The next moment, powerful waves were released from his white robe. Then, the white robe turned into a suit of armor that exuded the power of the void under Tianyang's strange gaze. Low-grade, Great Sage Artifact, Void Battle Armor. The Void Mountain's Xiao Zun laughed and said, "With it, I can unleash my strongest strength." As for Tianyang, he was completely speechless. It was one thing for the white robe to absorb 70% of the damage from his sword. Void Mountain, you think you're so great just because you're rich? But this white robe could still evolve? Even if the 9 Saint Dao fusion sword couldn't unleash the strongest power of the fusion of the 9 Saint Daos, it could still kill a Thunder Great Sage with one strike. But when it came to the Void Mountain Shao Zun, he was only slightly injured and was gone. If that's the case, Tianyang sighed. The origin of chaos circulated slowly in Tianyang's body. The origin of chaos was more edible than the endless spirit sea. The nascent soul-pregnant pill that Tianyang had taken before could not only strengthen the primordial spirit, but also the vital essence. However, the vital essence left after strengthening the primordial spirit was enough to let a saint break through one realm. It was eaten by the origin of chaos and gone. It didn't even produce a wisp of chaos chi. The origin of chaos could automatically regenerate after the chaos chi was consumed and didn't need to consume the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Tianyang, on the other hand, was extremely displeased. Just now, he had wasted a wisp of chaos chi. Now, welcome the true power of the void. This is the power of Wang Zhili, the ruler of the world. The Void Mountains, Shao Zun roared. Streaks of dark light circulated on the void sword. The next moment, his figure flashed. An incomparably terrifying sword slashed viciously at Tianyang. At this moment, Tianyang moved. The Void Mountains, Shao Zun suddenly realized that everything around him, including himself, seemed to be frozen at the moment of the sword attack. And Tianyang's figure suddenly disappeared. Half a second later, time and space froze. The Void Mountains, Shao Zun spat out a large mouthful of blood. An extremely terrifying crack appeared on the Void battle armor. This is the Void Mountains. Shao Zun instantly fell to the ground. He half knelt on the ground, his right hand clutching his painful chest. But his face was filled with horror. Time and space. That half second that seemed like an illusion was definitely the power of time and space. There's actually someone who can master the space-time Tao in this world. The Void Tao was a sublimation of the Space Tao. However, in front of the space-time Tao, it was like an ant compared to an elephant. It was extremely weak. In fact, this was indeed the case. If Tianyang had not cultivated the space-time Tao for a long time, the space-time moment just now would have been enough for the Void Mountain to collect their Shao Zun's corpse. However, the power of my void body tempering art hasn't been unleashed yet. The Void Mountains, Shao Zun roared. He turned around, and the void sword in his hand erupted with supreme Shenguang. Void annihilation slash. The Void Mountains, Shao Zun roared. At this moment, the World Inferno Demon Emperor's loud laughter suddenly sounded. Ha 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 ha. Spiritual fire. A half-step level 8 spiritual fire. I've waited for so many years. It's finally here. The next moment, a terrifying dark green fire missile shot toward Tianyang. The Void Mountains, Shao Zun's Void Annihilation Slash was directly shattered. Even the Void Mountain Shao Zun was severely injured by this terrifying flame. Tianyang's expression changed drastically. He had not expected the World Inferno Demon Emperor to suddenly attack. In a moment of desperation, Tianyang could only use his hands to block. However, the World Inferno Demon Emperor's lips curled into a sinister smile. Even if this guy's physical body was at the Supreme Sage level, it was impossible for him to block his attack. Mystic Yin freeze. Only then did Xin Yuanyin react and cry out in alarm. The missile almost touched Tianyang's arm and was about to swallow Tianyang. Falling shield. At this moment, a delicate voice sounded in Tianyang's soul sea. A barrier formed by strange runes suddenly appeared in front of Tianyang. Boom! Chapter 1345. The terrifying green netherworld mystic fire collided with the runic shield. Tianyang also seized this opportunity to retreat. His expression was extremely grave. He never expected that the World Inferno Demon Emperor would suddenly attack him. No, perhaps the person in front of him was not the World Inferno Demon Emperor. With the power of a holy emperor, even if only a fragment of his soul was still alive, he could reincarnate and even slowly restore his essence soul. Why would he seal his inheritance tens of thousands of meters underground? This is the power of that strange rune seemed to be terrifyingly powerful. Even the green netherworld mystic fire from the world inferno demon emperor was enough to severely injure Tianyang, but it still could not break the runic shield. It was even swallowed by the runic shield. The world inferno demon emperor's gatekeeper. How could you have it? At this moment, the world inferno demon emperor let out a shrill scream and roared angrily. The next moment, his figure flashed, and he directly appeared in front of Tianyang. Luoluo is very powerful. At this moment, the white flame given by Luoluo burned in Tianyang's hand again. He immediately calmed down and snorted coldly, slashing out with his sword. Insignificant skill. Seeing this, the sky-scorching demon emperor sneered. He extended his hand and grabbed the great void sword embryo. At this moment, space-time froze and exploded again. Boom! In the blink of an eye, one of the arms of the world-burning demon emperor, which was made of the blue netherworld mystic fire, was chopped off. However, in less than a millisecond, the effect of time and space freezing was gone. Space-time froze for different enemies for different amounts of time. Against the Thunder Magic Great Sage, it could freeze space-time for a second. Against an opponent like the Void Mountain Shao Zun, who had incomparably powerful strength and treasures, it could only freeze space-time for half a second at most. But for an existence like the World Inferno Demon Emperor, Tianyang had just attacked when the effect of space-time froze completely disappeared. You can actually cut off one of my arms? At this moment, the World Inferno Demon Emperor's expression gradually turned sinister. But so what? Die! In an instant, streaks of dark green, mystical fire burned and blasted towards Heavenly Sun. At this moment, Tianyang snorted coldly, and the white flame in his left hand burned. Boom! The surrounding green netherworld mystical fire was instantly pushed away, and Tianyang took the opportunity to use the Boundless 9 transformations to escape from the world incinerating Demon Emperor's attack range. You are definitely not the world-burning Demon Emperor. Tianyang came to the corner of the hall and stared at the world incineration Demon Emperor in front of him. Oh, hearing this, the world incineration Demon Emperor smirked. If I'm not the world incineration Demon Emperor, then who am I? Don't tell me it's you? In the next moment, the world incineration Demon Emperor's appearance suddenly changed into Tianyang's appearance. Seeing this, Yin Xinyuan was dumbfounded. He Yizhua and the mid-level sage were dumbfounded, and the Void Mountain's Shao Zun's pupils contracted in shock. You're not the world incineration Demon Emperor. You're the dark green netherworld mystical fire. Dark green netherworld mystical fire. These 4 words were like a heavy hammer that hammered on everyone's hearts. Yin Xuanyuan's pupils contracted to the extreme. Dark green netherworld mystical fire? The dark green netherworld mystical fire was only a spiritual fire. Even the fire spirit could not compare to the intelligence displayed by the world incineration Demon Emperor. Dark green netherworld mystical fire? TSK. I've long stopped using that name. At this moment, the World Incineration Demon Emperor sneered and returned to the appearance of the World Incineration Demon Emperor. To him, this was the form he was most used to. Since you're the dark green netherworld mystical fire, why did you attack the successor of the World Incineration Demon Emperor? At this moment, Yin Xinyuan said in disbelief. However, the World Incineration Demon Emperor instantly went berserk upon hearing this. Don't mention that bastard World Incineration Demon Emperor to me. That bastard World Incineration Demon Emperor. If he's dead, then so be it. Why did he ask me to safeguard his inheritance for him? As long as I found the successor, he would let me out? Then he sealed me in the World Incineration Demon Castle 100,000 meters below the Zongjua mountain range. For 1,000 years, no one discovered it. For 5,000 years, even the magma worms living underground did not come close once. 10,000 years, the deadline promised by the World Incineration Demon Emperor was up, and the World Incineration Demon Castle was still underground. 100,000 years, I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted freedom. In the end, it took another 100,000 years to move a few thousand meters. Now, Do you know how long it has been? The world incineration demon emperor sneered, and his face gradually became distorted. 760,000, 763,591 years, 8 months, 7 days, 5 hours, 30 minutes, 57 seconds, 48 seconds. For more than 760,000 years, I've been staying in this lonely, monotonous, rubbish place that has nothing but myself. The world incineration demon emperor roared angrily. Hearing this, Tianyang's face changed slightly. The spiritual fire was born strong, but it was not a cultivator. If a cultivator wanted to break through to the level of the dark green netherworld mystical fire, they would have to go through countless years of hardships and dangers before they could achieve it. Even if Tianyang had countless opportunities, including his past and present life, it had been close to 1,000 years. The spiritual fire was born strong, and it gained intelligence during the battle with the world incineration demon emperor. Then it was imprisoned in a place, an unchanging place, for 760,000 years. If it was a cultivator, they could have gone into seclusion to pass this time. But the spiritual fire did not know how to cultivate. It was born the way it was. Unfortunately, the dark green netherworld mystical fire had gained intelligence. This meant that the dark green netherworld mystical fire, as a child, had been imprisoned in a lonely place for countless years. It had gone completely crazy. That's the responsibility of the world incineration demon emperor. What does it have to do with us? The Void Mountains, Xiao Zun said angrily. At this moment, the world incineration demon emperor's torso bent 180 degrees. The whites of his eyes occupied 99% of his hideous eyeballs as he stared at the Void Mountains, Xiao Zun. You want the inheritance of the world incineration demon emperor. Then, won't the world incineration demon emperor get what he wants? Also, don't call me the dark green netherworld mystical fire. Now, I'm called Holy Venerable Dark Green Netherworld. The world scorching demon emperor grinned hideously. In the next moment, he made his move. He appeared directly behind Tianyang and stretched out his right hand at lightning speed. Boom! However, this time, it was blocked by a tough rune. It's the power of the world incineration demon emperor again. Seeing this, Holy Venerable Dark Green Netherworld was stunned for a moment. Then he screamed. Countless dark green netherworld mystical fires burned and turned the entire hall into a sea of fire. I forgot to tell you that the inheritance of the world incineration demon emperor is long gone. When I was 10,000 years old, I finally found a way to obtain the inheritance. Now, I'm the inheritor of the world incineration demon emperor. Holy Venerable Dark Green Netherworld laughed wildly. Then he waved his right hand. Green flames shot out from his right hand. Back then, it was him who used this move to throw me out and destroy a city. Holy Venerable Dark Green Netherworld laughed wildly. The flames that shot out instantly turned into fire crows. Chapter 1346. Kill all the crows, stain the sky with blood. Saint Qingming's lips curled into a devilish smile. In the next moment, countless fire crows let out ear-piercing screeches and charged towards Tianyang. In an instant, it was as if there were 3,000 fire crows that dyed the entire sky green. From afar, it looked like a sea of green fire. **T. At this moment, Tianyang suddenly realized that the runic shield that devoured countless flames was not omnipotent. Under the attack of countless fire crows, it was showing signs of collapsing. Do you think you know the power of that old bastard, the world-burning demon emperor, better than me? Seeing this, Saint Qingming's smile became hideous again. At this moment, Saint Qingming's body flashed again, and he threw out a punch. Boom! A true flame of destruction appeared behind Tianyang in time, and helped to reduce some of the power of the punch. However, a considerable amount of Qingming mystical flame and terrifying power still landed on Tianyang's body. Puff! Tianyang spat out a mouthful of blood. The immortal blood and immortal bone burned with the immortal divine flame at the same time. That little bit of injury healed instantly. However, Tianyang's face was extremely ugly. Compared to the white-haired young man's aura that suppressed the heavens and the earth, Saint Qingming was slightly weaker. Although he was strong, there were ways to defeat him. However, Tianyang was able to determine the strength of Saint Qingming from the punch just now. He was definitely a heaven-grade great saint cultivator. Not many people called themselves saint. It was different from saint. Saint was the title of a saint who was at the peak of his strength. As for saint, there was no requirement of strength. However, those who dared to call themselves saint had to be at least an earth-grade great saint. Heaven-grade great saint. Why don't you give me 10 Xianyuan Kongming? Tianyang gritted his teeth and stared at the 3,000 fire crows that flew towards him again. Xianyuan Kongming was an earth-grade great saint. There was not much difference between him and a heaven-grade great saint. However, one Saint Qingming could fight 100 Xianyuan Kongming. Destroy. 9 saint paths merge. 10,000 mammoth annihilation. Tianyang roared angrily. In his fury, the great void sword embryo emitted a terrifying light and slashed out. The peerless sword might swept across the area and instantly killed the 3,000 fire crows. However, the 3,000 fiery crows were nothing more than a lift of Saint Qingming's hand. Fire spirits are hard to deal with, and spirit fires that have gained sentience are even harder to deal with. Tianyang stared at Saint Venerable Qingming in front of him. Saint Venerable Qingming didn't seem to have the intention to kill Tianyang immediately. Instead, he had a crazy and twisted smile on his face. It was as if he wanted to play Tianyang to death. Although the World Inferno Demon Emperor was called the Demon Emperor, he was not overly demonic. In fact, if he did not cultivate demonic arts, it would not be a problem for him to be called the Saint Emperor. However, Saint Master Qingming had already gone mad after hundreds of thousands of years of loneliness. Compared to the World Inferno Demon Emperor, the peerless Demon Emperor, he was even more demonic. After all, there were many cases where even saints went mad because of looking at things for too long. How could a spiritual fire, whose mind had just been opened and whose state of mind was worse than anyone else's, endure hundreds of thousands of years of loneliness? However, although Tianyang knew the reason, he could understand it. Saint Master Qingming did not understand him. The plaything this time is very interesting. Saint Master Qingming laughed out loud. At this moment, he waved his hand again. The monstrous Qing Xian fire covered the entire floor of the main hall. At the same time, it flew up along the walls of the main hall and turned the entire main hall into a terrifying furnace of flames. This move is called Sky Incinerating Furnace. Back then, the World Inferno Demon Emperor used this move to kill an earthly great sage. Saint Master Qingming said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Tianyang's face turned ghastly pale. It wasn't just the flames that were everywhere. The Tao of Destruction and the Tao of Flame were also contained within it. If Tianyang stayed here for too long, he would definitely die. Loloa's protection. At this moment, Bai Loloa's voice sounded in Tianyang's mind again. Following that, runes and symbols appeared around Heavenly Sunday. They isolated the power of the Qing Xian fire. Tianyang's face changed slightly. Why was Bai Luoluo so powerful? She was only a beginner half-saint. At this moment, Tianyang turned his head and his face changed drastically. Under Bai Luoluo's protection, he could ignore the power of the Sky Incinerating Furnace. However, the others could not. Yun Xianyuan and Shao Zun of the Void Mountain were still fine. The former had awakened the Xian Chayin body and was extremely resistant to the Qing Xian fire. The latter had managed to survive with the help of countless treasures of the Void Mountain. However, He Yizhua and another intermediate saint were about to die in the Sky Incinerating Furnace. Not bad. Although the main ones are not dead yet, the death of a few dregs can make me happy. Saint Qingming followed Tianyang's gaze and saw He Yizhua and the intermediate saint who were about to die. A carefree smile appeared on his face. To Saint Venerable Qingming, death was the only thing that could bring him joy. However, if this continues, Yun Xianyuan and Shao Zun of the Void Mountain will not be able to hold on any longer. Tianyang's face darkened. In the next moment, he rushed into the Qing Xian fire in a flash. Walking into a trap, Saint Qing Ming was stunned. At this moment, Tianyang threw Yun Xianyuan, who had been roasted by the Qing Xian fire, into the Vientiane sky ruins. I'll have to trouble you. At this moment, Tianyang took out the space bag of the Thunderspell Supreme Saint that he had emptied at the Star Demon auction and threw Shao Zun of the Void Mountain into it. Then, He Izwa and the other intermediate saint entered. You're about to die, and you're still thinking about the lives of others? Seeing this, Saint Qing Ming's face was filled with disdain. Now, the idlers are going to die. Just hand over the spiritual fire and let me devour it. That's right. Saint Qing Ming's ultimate goal was to devour Tianyang's true flames of destruction. Since he had gained sentience, it meant that he had transformed from the spiritual fire into a fire spirit. A fire spirit could devour the spiritual fire. Bulsh * T. At this moment, Tianyang roared angrily. The white flame in his hand burned fiercely as he slashed at Saint Qing Ming with the great void sword embryo. Whether or not Ling Yuhan could recover would depend on whether or not he could deal with Saint Master Qing Ming. Tianyang had to do his best to kill the person in front of him. Boom! One slash, mountain river break. The majestic power of sword principle bloomed and instantly chopped Saint Qing Ming into 8 pieces. At the same time, Tianyang used the ice secret skill to freeze Saint Qing Ming's primordial spirit for a moment. However, an advanced saint can't forget about competing with a Heaven Great Supreme Saint. Saint Qing Ming recovered his body instantly and broke the ice on his primordial spirit. He smiled faintly. Chapter 1347. The strength of Saint Qing Ming was too strong. The difference between each cultivation level in Wu Zun's realm was already huge. After the Saint realm, the difference was even more terrifying. Tianyang had merged the 9 Saint paths and comprehended the chaos origin. However, he could only defeat an earthly great sage, Xianyuan Kongming. Peak earthly great sage was Tianyang's limit. However, Saint Qing Ming was a heavenly great sage who was countless times stronger than an earthly great sage. The strength that he could unleash was not something that Tianyang could contend with. Damn it, the immortal divine flame was burning fiercely in his body. Tianyang wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, Tianyang stood on the wall and looked at Saint Qing Ming, who was smiling ferociously. His face turned ghastly pale. Although Tianyang had the immortal bloodline, it was almost impossible for him to die with the Qing Ming mystical flame. However, once his primordial spirit was shattered, Tianyang would definitely die no matter how strong his immortal divine body was. However, I might not lose. Tianyang gritted his teeth. The surrounding space was sealed by Saint Qing Ming's powerful strength. Even if Tianyang wanted to break out, he would need some time. During this time, Saint Qing Ming would seize the opportunity to kill Tianyang. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Tianyang's countless battle experience allowed Tianyang to think of a way to break out of this situation. That was the strange rune that had a strong, suppressive effect on the flame. Now that Luo had given a white flame to Tianyang, Tianyang also had the ability to control the strange rune. In order to defeat Saint Qing Ming, the strange rune was the key. Why? Are you not coming to seek your own death? At this moment, the corners of Saint Qing Ming's lips curled up. It was beyond the limits of a human body. The corners of his lips curled up to the corners of his eyes. He looked like a horrifying monster that would make one's heart tremble. Since you are not coming, then I will. In the next moment, Saint Master Qing Ming's figure suddenly disappeared, and the power of a heavenly great sage erupted. In the blink of an eye, he arrived behind Tianyang and threw out a punch. Tianyang's reaction speed was not slow either. He immediately raised his sword to block the attack. However, he was still sent flying by Saint Qing Ming's powerful strength. At the same time, countless green, profound flames under his feet swept up as if they were going to ignite Tianyang. However, white runes appeared on the surface of Tianyang's body and devoured the dark green flames. In the next moment, Tianyang used the demon slave imprint to establish a connection with Yun Xianyuan in the Vientiane Sky ruins. Yun Xianyuan, do you still have strength? Tianyang asked anxiously in his heart. At the same time, he slashed out with the Great Void Sword embryo in his hand and blocked Saint Master Qingming's attack for a moment. Saint Master Qingming did not seem to be in a hurry to kill Tianyang. Instead, he displayed a strength that could suppress Tianyang, but not enough to kill Tianyang in an instant. He was slowly wearing down Tianyang. Hundreds of thousands of years of emptiness had driven Saint Master Qingming crazy. Now, he was like a cat toying with a mouse. As the hunter, he was toying with his prey, Tianyang. Sword breaking 9 desolates. Tianyang roared as he destroyed the 3,000 fiery crows that were flying towards him with a slash of his sword. The Heavenly Expanse 9 transformations was activated rapidly, and he arrived behind Saint Master Qingming in a flash. With a slash of his sword, he activated the 10,000 divine flames. Boom! A part of Saint Master Qingming's flame origin was instantly taken away by the 10,000 divine flames. Oh! Saint Master Qingming was surprised. In the next moment, his face turned ferocious. I didn't expect you to be so capable. In an instant, Saint Master Qingming's speed was much faster than before. He arrived behind Tianyang and struck out with his palm. Tianyang immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the blood was burned by the green mystical flame. That was because the power of the green mystical flame had penetrated deep into Tianyang's body. However, it was suppressed by the immortal blood and cleared by the immortal flame. That was why Tianyang did not turn into a pile of charcoal. Yes, Yun Xianyuan said hastily. Master, what do you need me to do? I will try my best to weaken Saint Master Qingming's power. When I reach a certain level, I will trap Saint Master Qingming for a moment. You will immediately freeze Saint Master Qingming. Then, I will use my ultimate move to kill Saint Master Qingming. Tianyang roared. Upon hearing this, Yun Xianyuan was stunned. Am I useful now? Although you want me to die, do me a favor now. When I am done, I will remove the mark of the demon slave. Then, you can do whatever you want. Tianyang roared. In the next moment, he used all his strength to activate the vast expanse 9 changes. When Saint Master Qingming was attacking, he took the opportunity to appear behind him, enduring the excruciating pain of the green mystical flame destroying his body. He slashed out with his sword. As the 10,000 godly flame was activated, another part of the green mystical flame was devoured by Tianyang. However, the 2 parts combined could only weaken Saint Master Qingming's power by less than 5%. After all, the 10,000 godly flame was not a combat skill. Die? In the Vientiane Sky ruins, Yun Xianyuan was stunned when she heard Tianyang's roar. It was as if something had frozen her heart. She gritted her teeth and said, no problem. Now that the mark of the demon slave had been removed, she would be on equal footing with him. Thank you. No matter what, this green mystical flame is the only rank 8 sacred flame that I can get my hands on. Tianyang smiled. At this moment, Saint Master Qingming, who had lost 5% of his origin, was enraged. I did not expect that a guy who came to find the inheritance of the world-burning demon emperor would be so cunning. Dark green flames burned in Saint Master Qingming's eyes. In the next moment, he threw out a punch. This punch was fully deserving of the power of a heavenly great saint. Boom! However, Tianyang did not activate the vast expanse 9 changes at this moment. Instead, he activated his body of the Dragon Emperor to the extreme and used all his strength to defend himself. Puffed! Tianyang spat out a mouthful of blood. In an instant, his aura was weakened to the extreme, and he was severely injured. That strange rune was not invincible. Now is the time. Tianyang roared and slashed out with his sword. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 godly flame. This move is useless against me. The space-time stagnated for 5 milliseconds before it disappeared. However, Saint Master Qingming realized that 10% of his origin had been forcefully taken away. Instantly, Saint Master Qingming came to his senses. The reason why Tianyang did not dodge the punch was because he wanted to use the blink of an eye. Even if he was severely injured, he still wanted to use it. He slashed out countless swords to take away his origin. Damn it! Saint Master Qingming's face twisted and he roared. At this moment, the power of Tianyang's primordial spirit erupted again. Secret skill of ice spirits. Godly piercing blade. Countless godly piercing blades were prepared, and they pierced into Saint Master Qingming's primordial spirit. As a spiritual flame, even if he had gained sentience, his primordial spirit would not be strong. As the countless godly piercing blades pierced his primordial spirit, Saint Master Qingming let out a painful cry. At this moment, the secret skill of ice spirits froze Saint Master Qingming for a whole second. It's useless. Saint Master Qingming laughed out loud. At this moment, a figure in a black robe appeared behind Saint Master Qingming. It was Yun Xianyuan. With the blood of Xianpin as a sacrifice, I summon the power of immemorial Xianpin. Freeze all things, Frost Lotus. Chapter 1348. Using the blood of Xianku as a sacrifice to summon the power of the immemorial Xianku. Freeze all things, Frost Lotus. Yun Xianyuan shouted as the terrifying power of the immemorial Xian-in turned into a beautiful blood lotus and shot towards Saint Master Qingming. Saint Master Qingming's primordial spirit was only sealed and isolated from the body of flames that he controlled. He was not completely frozen. Therefore, after seeing the blood lotus, Saint Master Qingming's pupils contracted to the extreme. Mysticaline body. How can it be the mysticaline body? How can there be an awakened mysticaline body in this world? Saint Master Qingming roared. Hearing this, Tianyang's face changed slightly. Saint Master Qingming knew what the mysticaline body looked like after it was awakened. At this moment, the blood lotus hit Saint Master Qingming, who was frozen by the Ice Soul secret technique. Bang! Streaks of blood-red ice instantly froze Saint Master Qingming's body of flames. Saint Master Qingming was also trapped in the illusion created by the Frost Lotus. The immemorial Xian Ku fed on emotions. This was the strongest killing move of the mysticaline body, and one of its effects was to awaken the deepest emotions of the opponent. Green mystical flame? I never thought that I would meet a rank 8 sacred flame. Indeed, the green mystical flame is not comparable to a rank 8 sacred flame. If it was not for the fact that the green mystical flame is good at refining pills, I would have abandoned you long ago. Damn it! Indeed, the inheritance of the fire god is not that easy to obtain. Green mystical, hurry up and heal my injuries. This was the earliest memory of the green mystical flame. However, it was different from the cliché story where the owner went crazy after abandoning the owner. The world's scorching demon emperor was a demonic cultivator. Naturally, he treated the spiritual flame crudely. Because the green mystical flame is too weak, I almost lost my arm. Useless trash. Luckily, I refined this cauldron of blood pills. The green mystical flame is only useful at this moment. Indeed, it can't block an attack from an imperial emperor. Green mystical flame, hurry up and save me. The power of a monarch is actually this terrifying. I, the great world-scorching devil emperor, am actually going to die in such a cowardly manner here. Burial Mountain Range? The place where a bunch of useless great saints are buried is also going to bury me? I can't give this green profound flame to others. Then, I'll let you guard my inheritance forever. 10,000 years. Just 10,000 years will do. Little Qingming, this is my last wish. Just take my legacy and stay underground for 10,000 years. Then, his memory was interrupted for a moment. What followed was 760,000 years of loneliness, despair, and madness. World-burning demon emperor. You bastard. Die for me. Go to hell. Within the blood-colored eyes, Saint Venerable Qingming had also reached the peak of madness. The countless Qing Ming Xian flames that formed the heaven-burning furnace also went berserk at this moment. The monstrous demonic flames seemed to want to incinerate the entire world. As for Yun Xianyuan, as the owner of the Frost Gloomy Lotus, he could naturally receive some of the emotions and memories that Saint Qing Ming had evoked from the blood-red ice. His entire body froze on the spot. "Thanks a lot." Tianyang smiled, and white flames gathered in his hands. Yin Xinyuan bit his lips and stretched out his hand as if he wanted to stop Tianyang. At this moment, within the blood-red ice, Saint Venerable Qing Ming's last thought before he went completely mad came out. Destroy this world that gave birth to the world-burning demon emperor. Destroy this bastard world. I've gotten the inheritance of the world-burning demon emperor. Then, everyone has to die. Hearing the crazy roars of Saint Venerable Qing Ming in his memory, Yun Xinyuan finally remembered. In his first memory, the pure and powerful Qing Ming Xian flames had died long ago. What was left was the crazy obsession of Saint Venerable Qing Ming, who only wanted to destroy everything. "How dare you hurt my father? Luoluo, go and die." At this moment, Bai Luoluo suddenly appeared. The white flames in Tianyang's hands circulated to the extreme. The palm-sized white flames burned to the peak and covered the entire main hall. It was more than 10,000 feet tall and carried with its supreme power. At this moment, Saint Venerable Qing Ming, who had just roared in the blood-red ice, was stunned. A trace of clarity appeared in his eyes. "Oh right, this rune is not the power of the world-burning demon emperor. It's the power of the fire god. Luoluo cannon. Bad guy, go to hell." Bai Luoluo shouted. Instantly, the horrifying flames turned into the supreme power of the fire god and charged towards Saint Venerable Qing Ming. At this moment, Saint Venerable Qing Ming seemed to have given up all resistance and allowed the white flames to devour him. Qing Ming Xian Flames was born in heaven and earth and died. If he died under the power of the fire god, it might not be too bad. Boom! The blood-red ice was cleansed by the white flames. As for Saint Venerable Qing Ming, he gradually disappeared in the white flames. At least, Tianyang could no longer sense Saint Venerable Qing Ming's aura in his primordial spirit. That's it. The white flames dissipated slowly, and Tianyang was stunned. Although Luo's power was able to restrain all kinds of flames, Tianyang's best guess was that she had only severely injured Saint Venerable Qing Ming. As for killing him, Tianyang did not even think about it. At this moment, a small green flame burned where Saint Venerable Qing Ming had been. However, Tianyang sensed that the flame did not have any spiritual intelligence. The origin of Qing Ming Xian flames. Rank 8. Seeing this, Tianyang was overjoyed. When he saw the green, profound flame that only had a little flame left, Tianyang's expression changed a little. He was afraid that the Qing Ming Xian flames would be destroyed by Luoluo's cannon, and its cultivation level would drop. At that time, Tianyang could only use the 10,000 elephant holy flame to devour the Qing Ming Xian flames and raise the true destruction flames to rank 8 before saving Ling Yuhan. Although it was fine as long as it was in rank 8 spiritual flame, Tianyang had mastered the true destruction flames for so many years, and his control over it had reached a certain level. Generally speaking, there would not be any problems. However, as long as there was something that was disadvantageous to Ling Yuhan, Tianyang would not allow it to be born. No, the Qing Ming Xian flames that Saint Venerable Qing Ming had injected into my body is not extinguished. At this moment, Tianyang's expression changed slightly, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The raging fist of Saint Qing Ming was the true strength of a heaven-grade great sage. Tianyang managed to block it with his physical sanctification body, but he did not die. Countless Qing Ming Xian flames were still raging in Tianyang's body. Let's get rid of the Qing Ming Xian flames first. Tianyang spat out another mouthful of blood and gave up on the idea of devouring the Qing Ming Xian flames to dissolve the 9 underworld's energy. He sat down cross-legged and circulated the divine wilderness heaven spiritual technique an immortal body to eliminate the Qing Ming Xian flames in Tianyang's body. All right, the demon's slave mark. It's time to get lost. At this moment, Tianyang smiled and erased the demon's slave mark in his mind. Yun Xianyuan suddenly felt that the connection between him and Tianyang had disappeared. But for some reason, Yun Xianyuan felt empty in his heart. One was the death of Saint Venerable Qing Ming. What was the other? Now you are free. Chapter 1349. 10 days later, Tianyang had finally fully recovered from the injuries caused by Saint Venerable Qing Ming's punch. In fact, Tianyang had already devoured or expelled all the green, deep mystical fire on the second day. However, it still took him more than 8 days to recover his physical body. A punch from a heavenly grade great saint was not easy to bear. Tianyang's immortal divine body was the reason he could survive. After spending 10 days to recover himself to his peak state, Tianyang had dared to devour the green, deep mystical fire. Only then did he dare to melt the 9 underworld's power and revive Ling Yuhan. I almost forgot that there are still 3 people in the space bag. However, just as he was about to devour the green, deep mystical fire, Tianyang suddenly remembered that he and Yun Xianyuan were not the only ones in this hall. Bai Luoluo was also there. The group from Void Mountain was still eating dust in Tianyang's space bag. Unlike the Vientiane Sky ruins, which was full of vitality, there were mountains, rivers, birds, and water. Inside the space bag was an absolute life, forbidden zone. It was completely dark inside. There was no gravity or air. Ordinary people would die, without a doubt, if they entered, but people like Xiao Zun from Void Mountain would have no problem surviving inside. However, if they stayed for too long, they might become another Saint Venerable Qing Ming. At this thought, Tianyang suddenly felt a chill. Although Xiao Zun from Void Mountain could not be compared to Saint Venerable Qing Ming, one lunatic was already troublesome enough. If there were another 3 lunatics, Tianyang would recognize one of them. Tianyang would definitely not be in a good mood. With a wave of his hand, rays of silver light flashed, and the 3 from Void Mountain flew out. It's been 10 days. Is Su Tianxiao finally dead? To be able to last 10 days in front of a heavenly grade great saint's green, deep mystical fire is really great. The mid-level saint closed his eyes, his face full of sorrow. Come on, green, deep mystical fire, kill Cheng Donghua, the only mid-level saint in this world. To be able to die in the hands of a heavenly grade great saint, I can die without regrets. Void Mountain, Xiao Zun, and He Yizhua, who had opened their eyes, looked at him. After a few minutes, the long-awaited Qing Ming mystic fire didn't appear. Cheng Donghua from the Void Mountain also opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was the strange looks in Xiao Zun and his good friend's eyes. So even Lord Xiao Zun couldn't escape. Well, a heaven great saint is already the top existence among the 13 keepers of the Void Mountain. Scram! At this moment, Xiao Zun of Void Mountain, who had always been expressionless, finally could not help but kick Cheng Donghua in the face, sending him flying. It hurts. No, I'm not dead. Only at this moment did Cheng Donghua realize that he was still alive. Wow! Cheng Donghua immediately burst into tears. Thank you, Tao the Void. Thank you, Su Tianxiao. Thank you, myself. Thank the heavens. Cheng Donghua, am not dead. He's an idiot. Ignore him. Looking at the crazy Cheng Donghua in the distance, Xiao Zun of the Void Mountain suddenly felt humiliated. How could the Void Mountain, the most powerful force in the Xiantian world, produce such a lunatic? It seems that you've dealt with a green deep flame. Xiao Zun of the Void Mountain said as he looked at the green deep flame beside Tianyang. Although he had come for the green deep flame, he knew very well what had happened, who had allowed him to live until now. He naturally did not have any thoughts about the green deep flame. Thank you, Brother Su Tianxiao. The Void Mountain will not forget this kindness. Xiao Zun of the Void Mountain bowed and cupped his fists. It's nothing. Tianyang chuckled. The Void Mountain was recognized as the strongest force in the Xiantian world. No matter what, it was absolutely necessary to build a good relationship with them. Then, the 3 of us will take our leave. Shao Zun of the Void Mountain stretched out his hand and operated the Tao of the Void. His arm seemed to pass through space and appeared beside Cheng Donghua. He grabbed Cheng Donghua and brought him back to his side. Then he tore open a spatial door with Cheng Donghua, and he Izwa and left this place. I didn't expect him to be so strong. The Xintian world is still full of hidden talents. Shao Zun of the Void Mountain chuckled in the Zhongjua mountain range. Tianyang, I'm looking forward to it. Heaven what? At this moment, Cheng Donghua turned his head curiously. Shao Zun, are you complaining about heaven? No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Thank you for your cooperation. After the Void Mountain Shao Zun and the other two left, Tianyang turned his attention to the green underworld flame. Saint Master Qing Ming's primordial spirit was not very strong. The reason he could easily destroy Tianyang's Eye Soul secret technique was because of the uniqueness of the spiritual fire and his strength as a heaven-grade great saint. In terms of primordial spirit power, Saint Master Qing Ming was only an intermediate saint. However, Tianyang's primordial spirit power had constantly transformed in the fierce battles. It was not something that Tianyang, who had just walked out of the divine origin paradise, could compare to. At this moment, Tianyang was an advanced saint, close to the peak of the saint realm. Saint Master Qing Ming could not escape from Tianyang's primordial spirit when he was still alive. This was also why Tianyang had dodged so many attacks. As for the origin source flame that was left, Heavenly Sun scanned it thoroughly. I'm not tricking you. Tianyang smiled. Then he glanced at Yin Xianyuan. Although you hate me, can you do me a favor? Yin Xianyuan, who was in a dilemma, was stunned. He looked up. What? At least, don't attack me before I revive you, Han. Tianyang smiled. Yin Xianyuan was stunned. Because I don't want to attack you either. Then Tianyang turned around. His expression was solemn as he activated the 10,000 elephant divine flame. He absorbed the green mystical flame into his body. In the next moment, Tianyang sat on the ground with his legs crossed. He activated his powerful refining power and tried his best to refine the green mystical flame. An 8th level sacred flame was extremely difficult to refine. Even a green mystical flame, which was not very aggressive, required Tianyang to do his best. Yin Xianyuan stood silently on the spot and looked at Tianyang, who was not far away. If it was a year ago, he would have killed Tianyang without hesitation. The person who was refining the spiritual flame was always the weakest. However, Yin Xianyuan looked at her hands. She could not even activate the mysterious Yin energy. In fact, because of what he had said earlier, his heart was trembling nonstop. Tianyang said that because Yin Xianyuan had helped him escape from the Xianyuan family and killed Saint Master Qing Ming, Yin Xuanyuan's rationality was telling her that this was definitely the case. That was right. However, there was still 0.1% of her rationality that was thinking in the impossible direction. Yin Xianyuan sat down. She looked at Tianyang and closed her eyes slowly. She had not slept for decades. Now, she was asleep? Yin Xianyuan smiled as she looked at Tianyang's side profile, who was trying his best to refine the green mystical flame. Chapter 1350. It was not difficult to refine the green mystical fire, but it was not easy either. Even though Tianyang had refined countless spiritual fires, it still took him half a month to refine the rank 8 spiritual fire. This was because Tianyang had tried his best to refine it. If he had relaxed, it might have taken him a month or even half a year to refine it. Ling Yuhan could not wait for half a year. Luckily, the green mystical fire is not an overbearing spiritual fire. Although the Saint Green mystical fire that turned into a demon is a little strong, the origin source flame is still normal. Tianyang opened his eyes slowly, and his face was filled with joy. 2 months ago, in the Xianyuan family, Ling Yuhan had used the 9 Heavens Dark Seal forcefully, causing herself to be severely injured and frozen by the 9 Underworld's energy. 2 months later, Tianyang had refined the green mystical fire and was about to save Ling Yuhan. Compared to a year, it was much shorter. It was out of Tianyang's expectation that it would be so smooth. However, The Saint Green mystical fire's strength was indeed terrifying. If he was not careful, Tianyong would have been in danger of losing his life. Luckily, the Saint Green mystical fire had given up resisting and was killed by the White Rune. Tianyong had looked for Luoluo to study the White Rune, but in the end, he had no clue. Even the Heaven's Expanse Saint Spirit could not find anything. In the end, Tianyong could only leave it as it was. As for the relationship between Bai Luoluo and the World Incineration Demon Emperor, Tianyong knew some of the World Incineration Demon Emperor's life experiences through the Green Mystical Fire's memories. He had no children, and Bai Luoluo was found in the Heavens continent. How could she be related to the World Incineration Demon Emperor? In that case, Tianyong could only give up for the time being. Next, Tianyong stood up with a ball of gentle green, profound flame burning in his right hand. Unlike Saint Master Qingming, who had completely fallen into madness, the green profound flame was extremely gentle. In the history of the Xintian world, there have been all kinds of spiritual fires, except for the green profound flame. Otherwise, it would not be called the powerful spiritual fire that countless alchemists dreamed of. The power of the primordial spirit seeped into every part of the green, deep, mystical flame. At this moment, Tianyong completely unleashed the power of his primordial spirit in order to control the green, deep, mystical flame in the most precise way possible. Then, Tianyong waved his right hand, and a spatial door to the Vientiane sky market opened. Tianyong walked in. "You found an 8th order sacred flame?" At this moment, the little golden girl who had been taking care of Ling Yuhan looked at the green, profound flame in Tianyong's hand in shock and said in disbelief. An 8th order sacred flame was an extremely rare existence, even for a powerful weapon spirit that was most likely not a product of the profound sky great world. It had only been 2 months, and Tianyong had already found an 8th order sacred flame. "Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. Green profound flame." Tianyong chuckled. Then, he reached out and pulled Ling Yuhan into his arms. Then, the green profound flame in his hand rose and began the final melting. The power of the Nine Nether was the original power of the Nine Nether Saint Body. At this moment, it had solidified and frozen Ling Yuhan. It preserved Ling Yuhan's vitality and prevented it from dissipating. However, it also froze Ling Yuhan's primordial spirit, which was equivalent to a living dead person. This green netherworld flame contained a powerful life force. It could not only melt the power of the 9 underworlds, it could also provide Ling Yuhan with strands of life force at critical moments. Even if the true destruction flame had been upgraded to 8th order, it would not be more suitable for this job than the green profound flame. "I didn't expect it to be the green profound flame. You're really lucky." The little golden girl looked at the green profound flame in Tianyong's hand with a complicated expression and exclaimed, "Even if ordinary people knew that they were looking for an 8th order sacred flame, it was unknown whether they could get any information about it. Even if they got the information, they might not be able to find it. Even if they found it, it might not be suitable." However, Tianyong had not only found an 8th order sacred flame from scratch, but it was also the most suitable green profound flame for this situation. This could only be said to be a miracle. In the distance, Yun Xinyuan had also returned to the Vientiane sky ruins. Looking at Tianyong's affectionate eyes, she felt a throbbing pain in her heart. It was impossible for him to look at her like that. "It's starting," Tianyong shouted in a low voice. Then, the green profound flame touched the ice formed by the power of the 9 Nether. Although he could prevent the heavenly sun from coming into contact with Ling Yuhan and cause the green profound fire to melt directly. However, in order to do it perfectly, Tianyong held Ling Yuhan in his arms and allowed the terrifying power of the 9 Nether to corrode his body. He had to be in control of Ling Yuhan's situation at all times. The 9 Nether sacred body was a unique and powerful body constitution, even in the Xintian Great World. Moreover, Ling Yuhan also had the bloodline of the 9-tailed lunar fox. The combination of the two made it difficult for the green profound flame to melt her. One day, one night, Ling Yuhan's arm did not thaw. Tianyang's primordial spirit power had been partially consumed, but Tianyang did not let go. His eyes were fixed on Ling Yuhan. 3 days, 3 nights. The consumption of the green profound flame was extremely frightening. After all, it was a sacred flame of the 8th level, and the heavenly sun's true essence, which had never shown any signs of exhaustion except for the sky sword, was actually showing signs of exhaustion. In order to prevent Ling Yuhan from being disturbed, Tianyang did not even want to use the divine wilderness spiritual skill to absorb the vast amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy in the Vientiane sky ruins. He was holding on with his own true origin. 10 days, 10 nights. More than half of Ling Yuhan's body had melted. However, half of Tianyang's body was frozen by the power of the 9 nether. On one side, he looked like a normal human. On the other side, there was endless frost. It was impossible to see Tianyang's original appearance on the other side. Melting the power of the 9 nether does not have to be done in one go. Even if Ling Yuhan recovers, you will not be able to recover. Seeing this, the vast expanse Saint Spirit could not help but say, the fusion of the power of the 9 nether and the 9-tailed heavenly moon fox's bloodline had caused Tianyang to be half frozen even with the true flames of destruction and the immortal fire protecting him. Luckily, Tianyang's immortal blood was strong enough. The power of the 9 nether was not enough to invade Tianyang's body. Otherwise, given the current situation, Tianyang would have died long ago. I've waited for 2 months. I don't want to wait any longer. Tianyang said calmly. He did not waste any of his true origin. On his half-frozen body, he focused on using the green profound flame. Even the endless spirit ocean of the past has dried up. 20 days had passed. The remaining half of the frost had invaded Tianyang's body, except for his right arm and head. Tianyang only frowned slightly. The space bag opened automatically. A pill flew out and was swallowed by Tianyang. The pill's power spread automatically. Tianyang did not use the divine wilderness heaven spirit technique to let his Dantian absorb the pill's power. This was a recovery pill that Tianyang had created himself. It was for a situation like this. The little golden girl's face was extremely tense. She did not want to see Tianyang die here. In the distance, Yin Xinyuan squatted down and covered his face. Colorless liquid flowed down his cheeks. Ling Yuhan's life force has started to recover. She can deal with the rest herself. You should go and rest, the vast expanse Saint Spirit said seriously. The power of a 9 nether is not that simple. There's no need. Tianyang smiled. His face that was covered by a thin layer of frost curled up into a smile. Even so, he still had to let the green profound flame burn. She has done so much for me. How can I let her do it again? Chapter 1351. Day after day, week after week, month after month. The difficulty of dealing with the 9 nether energy had far exceeded Tianyang's expectations. Even though Tianyang had been constantly activating the green mystical flame, it was still difficult for him to overcome the last layer of the 9 nether energy. Even the creator of this layer of 9 nether energy, the heavens expanse Saint Spirit, did not expect that the 9 nether energy would instinctively freeze the brain to such a terrifying extent. Her torso, heart, and other parts of her body had almost completely melted. The 9 nether energy had also been completely absorbed into Ling Yuhan's body. However, as long as the ice in her brain was not removed, Ling Yuhan's primordial spirit would always be in a frozen state. In that case, no matter how perfectly Tianyang recovered, Ling Yuhan would never be able to recover. I didn't expect that the dozens of elixirs that I prepared would be used up, but it's still not resolved. Tianyang's lips curled into a bitter smile. At this moment, other than his right palm, his entire body was encased in ice formed by the 9 nether energy. The green, mystical flame on his right hand was also a little withered, but it was just as well. Not only his true yuan, but Tianyang's primordial spirit had also been greatly depleted. With the green mystical flame withered, Tianyang could better control it. The changes of day and night in the Vientiane sky ruins were different from the Xiantian Great World. Therefore, Tianyang did not know how much time had passed. In his heart, there was only one thing that was determined to complete this final task. You've been like this, not absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from the outside world. With your current level of control over the green mystical flame, the effect of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is almost negligible. The little golden girl frowned as she said, "Yes, from the beginning until now, Tianyang had not once absorbed the vast amount of spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the Vientiane sky ruins. If he did, even if he did not use all his strength to absorb the spiritual energy, Tianyang would not need the help of elixirs. Just the spiritual source sea alone was enough to replenish Tianyang's true yuan. However, Tianyang was still holding on. The Heaven's Expanse Saint Spirit was an artifact spirit, and it was unable to channel its true yuan into Tianyang's body. They could only watch helplessly as the heavenly sun was consumed bit by bit. A little bit of influence is still an influence. Tianyang's lips curled into a bitter smile. How can I admit defeat so easily until the very last moment? Look, the immortal fire is burning on its own. I don't even need to focus on cultivating, and the indestructible blood is rapidly improving." Hearing this, the little golden girl fell silent. This was probably the only benefit of pushing himself to this extent. Even the immortal divine body was activated automatically, fearing that this existence would die. As for the area between Ling Yuhan's eyebrows, under the continuous melting of Tianyang's green mystical fire, the ice finally showed signs of loosening. Tianyang's face also brightened up. He once again focused his mind and burned the green, profound flame with all his strength. About 3 days had passed. The last bit of ice between Ling Yuhan's eyebrows finally melted. With the last bit of 9 underworld's power on Ling Yuhan's body, it quickly merged into Ling Yuhan's body. Tianyang was instantly overjoyed. However, before Tianyang could feed Ling Yuhan the healing elixir that he had prepared beforehand, Ling Yuhan's eyes suddenly opened. Tianyang's face changed instantly. Just as he started to channel his true yuan, a terrifying extreme cold power was released from Ling Yuhan's body. It was dark sealing the 9 heavens. With Ling Yuhan as the center, streaks of terrifying cold ice spread out in all directions at lightning speed. Tianyang immediately ignited the true flames of destruction to resist this powerful extreme cold. Even so, the 9 underworld's power on the surface of his body almost exploded. What's going on? The Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit's face changed drastically. He immediately moved to save Tianyang. At this moment, a strange rune appeared between Ling Yuhan's eyebrows. In less than 10 seconds, it disappeared. The terrifying extreme cold power that exploded also slowly disappeared. However, with Ling Yuhan as the center, the land within a radius of 1,000 miles was completely sealed in ice by an incomparably terrifying power of ice. This is only the remaining underworld sealing 9 heavens. The Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit gasped and said, although the 9 underworld's frost formula was given to Tianyang by the Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit, the Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit did not expect the underworld sealing 9 heavens to be so powerful. In fact, the Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit did not even expect Ling Yuhan to be able to use the underworld sealing 9 heavens. At this moment, Ling Yuhan sat up. In her eyes, there was no emotion at all. His indifferent gaze swept around the room. As for the Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit who was close to her, his heart trembled. He had the urge to kneel down and worship her. This is... The Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit's teeth were chattering. He stared at the room between Ling Yuhan's eyebrows that was shining brighter and brighter. This was no longer a realm that the Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit could reach. This was the power of the godly state. How can Ling Yuhan have the power of the godly state? No wonder she could use the underworld sealing 9 heavens by force. The Heaven's Expanse Holy Spirit roared in his heart. At this moment, Bai Luo, who had been catching fish in the Spirit Source Sea, appeared in front of everyone. In the instant that he saw Ling Yuhan, he jumped up in joy. Mother Yuhan. Then, she immediately ran towards Ling Yuhan. Don't! The heavens expanse, Holy Spirit shouted. That was the power of the godly state. It was not something that could be easily dealt with. At this moment, Ling Yuhan also noticed Bai Luoluo's presence. She glanced over. However, a strange rune abruptly appeared in front of Bai Luoluo and completely offset the terrifying power of extreme frost. The rune between Ling Yuhan's eyebrows trembled and disappeared immediately. Ling Yuhan's eyes gradually regained their clarity. Ah! Ling Yuhan looked around and was a little dazed. Why does heaven look like this? Everything within 1,000 miles was covered in frost. It looked similar to the Xianyuan family after Ling Yuhan used the underworld sealing 9 heavens. At this moment, Bai Luoluo pounced forward. Ah! Ling Yuhan was also shocked, but when he saw who it was, he revealed a happy smile. It's Luoluo. If that's the case. Stroking Luoluo's silver-white hair, Ling Yuhan seemed to have thought of something and turned around immediately. As expected, the Heavens Expanse Holy Palace was at the side. The Heavens Expanse Holy Spirit was using its 2 hands to lift Tianyang. Master! Ling Yuhan's eyes were filled with tears. In a flash, she left Bai Luoluo on the spot and ran towards Tianyang. The Heavens Expanse Holy Spirit pouted and threw Tianyang out without mercy. Bang! Ling Yuhan caught Tianyang firmly, and Tianyang opened his eyes at this moment, the corners of his mouth curling up into a smile. However, before he could say the second word, Tianyang opened his eyes wide. 2 soft pieces of skin blocked his lips. Don't speak. After a long while, Ling Yuhan opened her mouth with a smile and waved her little fist. Master, if you speak again, I'll force you to sleep. Hearing this, Tianyang smiled and closed his eyes. His head lay on Ling Yuhan's lap, and he fell asleep in less than 3 seconds. 5 months and 26 days, consuming his true yuan and primordial spirit power all the time. This guy is really stubborn. The little golden girl floated in front of Ling Yuhan. Looking at the defenseless Tianyang, she curled her lips and said. Bai Luoluo was stunned. She did not know why Ling Yuhan suddenly disappeared. Chapter 1352. Tianyang slept for a total of 10 days. If it was not for the fact that Tianyang still had a bit of consciousness to control his sleep, he would have slept for another half a year. Tianyang had used up too much energy this time. It could be said that his true origin and primordial spirit energy were completely depleted. The 10 days of sleep had only allowed his primordial spirit energy to recover a little. If he wanted to recover his true origin, he would have to drink the spiritual source ocean dry first. However, I still have some medicinal pills that can help me recover quickly after I overdraw my true origin energy. Although it might not be enough, it should be able to help me recover some of my combat strength. Tianyang chuckled. He took out 2 medicinal pills from his space bag and swallowed them as though he was chewing beans. Tianyang's aura also started to change slowly. At this moment, Tianyang was shocked. His cultivation base, advanced saint stage? Tianyang exclaimed in disbelief. He did not do anything. How did he break through from the intermediate saint stage to the advanced saint stage? Even Swordlight would not be so fast. You broke through to the advanced saint stage on the 5th day of the 3rd month. However, you had already lost your mind when you used the green profound flame. You did not even know that you had broken through. If you had not broken through to the advanced saint stage, do you think you would be able to continuously use the level 8 sacred flame and control it for more than 5 months? The little golden girl said angrily. For some reason, the little golden girl placed more hope in Tianyang than the 9 universes' Saint Emperor. Perhaps it was the vast expanse divine level that had completely destroyed Wu Zun's limit and Tianyang's miraculous performance that had shocked her. Is that so? Tianyang scratched his head when he heard that. However, his expression gradually turned serious. Advanced Saint Stage. Even if I use the heaven-devouring secret skill, I'll only be at the peak of the Advanced Saint Stage. If I'm lucky, I'll only be at the peak of the Advanced Saint Stage. In other words, even if I want to rely on my own strength to fight against Saint Master Qingming, my chances of winning are extremely low. if I want to defeat the patriarch of the Xianyuan family. I'm still too weak. Tianyong clenched his fists and said with an ugly expression, Half-Saint Emperor. These three words were like an incomparably tall monument erected in Tianyong's heart. Even though Ling Yuhan had recovered, Tianyong would never forget the humiliation the Xianyuan family had brought him that day. Tianyong did not care about this world, but the Xianyuan family must be destroyed. Even the number one family in the mysterious sky world, which had stood tall for countless years, was the same. Ancestor Xianyuan must have cultivated for tens of millions of years to become a half-holy emperor. I'm afraid you haven't even reached 35 years old yet. You're still too young to be compared to someone who's been alive for 10 million years. However, the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. However, I have high hopes for you. Compared to that coward 9 universes Saint Emperor, you're much stronger. If it's you, it's possible to bring me back to that world. Hearing this, Tianyong was stunned. That world, although the Heavens Expanse Saint Palace had always been in Tianyong's Vientiane sky market, Tianyong had no idea what the Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit's goal was. When he asked before, the Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit had used the reason that he was too weak to answer. As a result, Tianyong did not know what the Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit wanted to do. I've forgotten if I've told you before, the little golden girl said. On her young face, there was a trace of vicissitudes that did not match her temperament. The Heavens Expanse Saint Palace is not complete. It's just a fragment of a huge object. Hearing this, Tianyong's eyes narrowed. This was the first time he had heard of this. The Heavens Expanse Saint Palace that had created the 9 universes Saint Emperor was just a fragment. How strong was the Heavens Expanse Saint Palace's main body? I've been thinking about how strong my main body would be if it's just a fragment. The Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit said faintly, Now, it seems like it should be the deity realm or the emperor realm. The Saint Emperor realm is not the end of the martial Tao, but the end of the Xiantian Great World. There must be another world above the Xiantian Great World. That is the real world where the martial Tao is flourishing. My main body, or should I say the past, is in that world. The Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit said. Hearing this, Tianyong's expression changed. He now understood why the Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit always looked unhappy whenever the 9 universes Saint Emperor was mentioned. He had always been puzzled. Although the 9 universes Saint Emperor was just an ordinary Saint Emperor and could not be compared to someone like the world's scorching demon emperor, he was still the strongest existence in the Xiantian Great World. Why was the Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit always so unhappy with him? Now, it seemed like the 9 universes Saint Emperor had only reached the peak of this world. However, the Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit wanted to transcend this world. In the countless years of the Xiantian Great World's history, Tianyong knew that no one had transcended and ascended. Therefore, Tianyong was not sure if there were any. However, even if there were, it would be extremely difficult. Even a 9 universes Saint Emperor could not do it. However, the Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit saw hope in Tianyong. Is that so? Tianyong smiled. Then, thank you for your kindness. Don't worry. Even if you don't want to go to that new world, I will definitely go. At this point, Tianyong's eyes burned with the flames of vengeance. He was almost certain that the great civilization annihilation, which had destroyed the martial Tao of the Heavens continent and the Xiantian Great World, was man-made. There were too many traces of natural causes that could not be removed. Tianyong continued to grow stronger. One was his pursuit to reach the peak of the martial Tao. Another was to find the truth behind the great civilization annihilation. His obsession for revenge. That's good. The Heavens Expanse Saint Spirit smiled and left, returning to the Heavens Expanse Saint Palace. Tianyong rested for a while before opening the space door to return to the dark ancient castle. Although Tianyong did not obtain the legacy of the World Incineration Demon Emperor, there was still a part of the World Incineration Demon Emperor's martial technique hidden in the green mystical fire. Tianyong was overjoyed. Coupled with Ling Yuhan's recovery, this trip to the southern Devil Domain was worth it. Let's go. However, Yuhan, you have to stay here and recuperate. Tianyang turned his head and reminded Ling Yuhan. Although Ling Yuhan had recovered, she had not recovered to her peak. However, her cultivation had inexplicably broken through to the saint stage. This made Tianyang very confused. However, the side effects of forcefully using the Nine Heavens Dark Seal were still present. Tianyang would rather die than let Ling Yuhan go out and risk her life. Got it. Ling Yuhan pursed her lips and did not cause any trouble. She accepted Tianyang's request. After that, Tianyang and Yun Xinyuan walked out of the Vientiane sky ruins together. At this moment, a clear and melodious voice with a hint of evilness rang out. Both of you have kept me waiting for a long time. A young man in black squinted his eyes and smiled at Tianyang and Yun Xinyuan. It's been a long time. I wonder if both of you still remember me? Su Tian Xiao and Yuan Xian. Or should I say, Tianyang and Saint Xinyuan? The young man in black opened his eyes, and the shadow of a dragon flashed across his eyes. Tianyang's expression changed slightly. He had used too much of his true origin earlier and could no longer maintain his disguise. Now, he was using his original appearance. However, what was the situation with Yun Xinyuan? However, Tianyang smiled gently. It has indeed been a long time. Chapter 1353. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince. In fact, no matter how clever Tianyang was, he would never have thought that the Demon Dragon Crown Prince would appear here at this time. When he was in the ancestral land of the Dragon God, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince strangely chose an unknown Dragon King's inheritance and left. Even the Thunder Great Saint didn't seem to notice the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, who was notorious in the Central Divine Land and had a grudge against the Xianyuan family. It meant that the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was likely to be the first to leave. Therefore, although Tianyang knew that the Demon Dragon Crown Prince belonged to the Southern Devil Ghost race, he didn't expect that he would appear in the Zhangjuan mountain range. I wonder why the Demon Dragon Crown Prince is here. Tianyang chuckled. Although he had only recovered 20 to 30% of his true yuan and couldn't use much of his battle strength, Tianyang wasn't afraid of the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. If he couldn't beat him, he could at least run away. If the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was here to snatch the Azure Profound Fire, then Tianyang didn't need to be polite with him. I heard that the Azure Profound Fire was here, so I immediately rushed here. However, when I arrived at this place, there was no longer a single person here. I searched everywhere for the Cyan Underworld Mystical Flame, but no one was able to obtain it. Now it seems that the Azure Profound Fire was obtained by Brother Tianyang. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince chuckled, and a demonic light flashed in his dragon eyes. It was as if the one in front of Tianyang wasn't a powerful dragon, but a demon. Tianyang's expression didn't change, but a sharp light flashed in his eyes, and his heart was on alert. Although the heavenly sword didn't react, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince most likely had nothing to do with the demon. However, even a trace of suspicion was enough to make Tianyang vigilant. After all, no matter how strong the demon was, they weren't easy to deal with. What's more, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince's strength was probably stronger than Tianyang's current high-level saint realm. When the Saint Sun Xinyuan and Yun Xinyuan joined forces, they could fight against a human Great Supreme Saint, but they were still afraid of the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. From this, one could see how powerful the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was. So, do you want to snatch it? Tianyang said with a smile. Yin Xuanyuan's expression changed as well. The mysterious Yin energy in his body started to circulate slowly. If the Demon Dragon Crown Prince wanted to make a move, then even if she was traumatized, she would still take action. How dare you? How dare you speak to His Highness like that? At this moment, a furious roar erupted from one of the black-robed men behind the crown Prince Demon Dragon. In the next moment, the black robe that covered his entire body was torn apart inch by inch. In an instant, an incomparably huge, muscular man charged towards Tianyang. Streams of terrifying dragon force burst out from the burly man's body. His face was filled with anger as he punched out. How dare you? At this moment, Yun Xinyuan spoke first. he released his profound Yin energy, and icicles condensed from the primordial Xuanyuan's pure Yin energy shot towards the burly man. Boom! The burly man smashed Yun Xuanyuan's icicle with a punch. Although his fist was frozen, his strength did not diminish. His face was full of anger as his dragon power erupted. Demonic dragon, air, shattering fist. The burly man roared as his dragon power erupted. An extremely terrifying fist force was released as it charged towards Tianyang's face. Tianyang smiled faintly. A cyan flame rose from Tianyang's fingertip. In an instant, the burly man's fist violently bombarded Tianyang's finger. However, the burly man's expression changed instantly. Clearly, it was just a weak finger. But why did it give him the feeling that it was even more unshakable than a towering mountain? In the next moment, a cyan flame engulfed the burly man. In an instant, the burly man's entire body was ignited by the mysterious azure flame. Long, get back here. At this moment, the demon dragon crown prince roared as he waved his hand and pulled the burly man back. At the same time, demonic runes condensed on his right hand as he attacked. The mysterious azure flame burning on Long Yi's body was instantly extinguished. Seeing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows. Even a mysterious azure flame could be easily dealt with? The demon dragon crown prince's strength was even stronger than he had imagined. However, even so, the skin of the burly man named Long Yi was still burned into layers of charcoal by the mysterious azure flame. Although the true yuan of a mid-level Saint Realm expert was rapidly recovering, Long Yi's face was still contorted in pain. Who told you to attack casually? The demon dragon crown prince said coldly. Brother Tianyang is my guest. Just a sentence, and you have a reason to attack? After you return, go find the dragon demon tower to receive your punishment. Hearing this, Long Yi's face twisted, and he could only lower his head helplessly. Yes, at this moment, a charming laugh came from the other black-robed person beside the demon dragon crown prince. Long Yi is still a blockhead. Serves him right for being a mid-level Saint Realm expert. But then again, this time, we have been separated for almost a year. I never thought that young Master Su could leave for so long. Hearing this, Tianyang frowned, and Yun Xuanyuan's face changed. Bewitching Lady Linglong. In the next moment, the black-robed person took off her hood, revealing Linglong's seductive face. The saintess of the Xianyuan family actually remembers this little bewitching lady. That's really surprising. Seeing Yun Xuanyuan's expression, Linglong chuckled, and Tianyang's eyes revealed a light of understanding. It turned out that the Star Demon Trading Company was the subordinate of the power behind the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. If that was the case, it wasn't impossible for the Star Demon Trading Company to dominate the southern demonic region. Xianyuan family? I have no relationship with the Xianyuan family. Hearing this, Yun Xuanyuan's face turned ugly. When it came to the Xianyuan family, Yun Xuanyuan's hatred was no less than Tianyang's. He had witnessed his parents being captured by Xianyuan Kongming and sacrificed in order to awaken the half-saint emperor ancestor who was in seclusion. The hatred of killing one's parents was irreconcilable. Is that so? Then I'm really sorry. Hearing this, Linglong smiled gently and said, All right, Linglong, there's no need to speak with that tone everywhere. The demon dragon crown prince frowned and looked at Tianyang, who was calm, and smiled. I don't know alchemy, and I don't have much desire for the azure profound flame. The reason why I stayed here is to find the person who has the azure profound flame. The demon dragon crown prince said. Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows. He didn't want the azure profound flame, but wanted to find the person who had it. Since Brother Tianyang is the person who has the azure profound flame, then I won't hide it. In fact, my father is seriously injured and urgently needs the azure profound flame to treat him. I came here to invite Brother Tianyang to follow me to the dragon demons to treat my father. Chapter 1354. You want me to save someone? Hearing this, Tianyang's lips curled up. Interesting. Although the azure profound flame was a rank 8 spiritual flame, Its destructive power was extremely weak. Instead, it had an extremely powerful life force. Although most of it was used for refining pills. Although it was mostly used in alchemy, it could be used to save someone. However, why should I help? You and I have only met once, Tianyang said indifferently. He didn't have any relationship with the Demon Dragon Crown Prince at all. Why would he go and save people? Tianyang was too lazy. How can you talk to the Crown Prince like that? It's your honor to be able to treat the Dragon Emperor. Long Yi, I don't want to see your ashes now. Just as Long Yi stood up, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince's cold voice sounded. On the side, Ling Long laughed. Long Yi is indeed Long Yi. He's been cultivating for over 300,000 years, but his brain is still that of an 8-year-old. Ling Long Yu, hearing this, Long Yi suddenly roared, but the Demon Dragon Crown Prince waved his hand and sealed Long Yi's mouth. That's right, Brother Tianyang, we've only met once, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince said with a smile. But there's no rule that says I can't help just because we've only met once. Brother Tianyang, what do you want? Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows. So the demonic dragon clan wanted to hire him? I want to kill the half-holy emperor ancestor of the Xinyuan family. Is that possible? If my father recovers to his peak state, a mere half-holy emperor would be as easy as flipping his hand. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said without hesitation. Hearing this, Tianyang was stunned. It's really possible. However, Tianyang's expression changed slightly. Just now, that guy called Long Yi mentioned the Dragon Emperor. Could it be that the person you want me to save is a Dragon Emperor? Saint Emperor. Tianyang's head was about to explode from these two words. A year ago, there was the half-holy emperor ancestor of the Xinyuan family. A few months ago, there was the inheritance of the world-burning demon emperor and the green, profound flame saint emperor who was driven crazy by the world-burning demon emperor. Now, there was a dragon emperor who needed the green, profound flame to save him. Since when were saint emperors so worthless? However, Tianyang didn't notice it. It wasn't that saint emperors were worthless. Other than being eaten, it was impossible for the fish in the deep sea to come into contact with the birds in the sky. It was just like how a cultivator in the aura illuminating realm would never be able to imagine the power of the martial honorable realm. One's range of contact was related to one's strength. Right now, he could completely come into contact with existences on the level of the Sage Emperor. Dragon Emperor. Dragon Emperor. This name was like thunder in the Xintian Great World 100,000 years ago. He was the strongest of the dragon demons and also the master of the southern demon ghost region. He fought against heaven and earth and led the southern demon ghost region to challenge the overlord of the central divine continent. If he wasn't born in the wrong era and wasn't born in the chaotic era of the world-burning demon emperor, the dragon emperor wouldn't be much weaker than the world-burning demon emperor. How could he, a guy who wasn't even a great saint, treat such an existence? Was he crazy? Find someone else. I can't treat him. I still want to kill that old dog, Xinyuan myself. Tianyang cupped his hands and turned to leave. Let's not talk about how strong the evil Sky Dragon Emperor was. Would he directly slap him to death and take away his dark green, mystical flame after he was done with the treatment? The existence that could injure the Dragon Emperor to such a state was clearly also a divine emperor. Tianyang would have to be crazy to offend another divine emperor for a seriously injured one he didn't know. Wait! Seeing Tianyang about to leave, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince became anxious. As long as it's within the capabilities of the dragon demons, they will definitely satisfy your request. Not at the moment. Demon Dragon Crown Prince is too polite. Tianyang didn't even turn his head. He still wanted to continue training. If he offended a divine emperor and was slapped to death, what was the point? Young Master Su, can I beg you? At this moment, Linglong's seductive voice sounded. Not only did Tianyang not slow down, he even sped up. If he turned his head now, Ling Yuhan would definitely chop him up. The dragon demons have a way to let Brother Tianyang's sword embryo transform into a divine emperor weapon. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince roared. At this moment, Tianyang's expression finally changed. The great void sword embryo was just a sword embryo. Anyone who had fought with Tianyang before would know that its immature aura could be seen by anyone. However, being able to see it was one thing, and being able to become stronger was another. After being strengthened countless times, the great Void Sword embryo had been stuck at the high-tier Divine Emperor weapon level for some unknown reason. No matter how much it devoured, it had no effect. The dragon demons have a way. Although I don't know what's going on with Brother Tianyang's sword embryo, the dragon demons have another fragment of the sword embryo. This fragment is probably half the size of Brother Tianyang's sword. Seeing that Tianyang seemed to be moved, the demon dragon crown prince shouted loudly. Hearing this, Tianyang paused and slowly turned around. The great void sword embryo was so tough that even old ancestor Xin Yuan couldn't destroy it. However, the power it could unleash was still insufficient. As Tianyang's strength grew, this weakness became stronger. Originally, there wasn't such a situation because Tianyang hadn't devoured the great void sword embryo to its limit. Now that he had reached the limit, he had to solve it. The only way was to find more fragments. Then I can, Tianyang said faintly. However, I'm only a high-tier saint. If I can't cure the Dragon Emperor, it's none of my business. Of course, seeing that Tianyang had agreed, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince naturally didn't dare to relax. He immediately brought Dragon 1 and Linglong to Tianyang. Let me introduce myself again. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince took a deep breath and said, I am the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, Delicia, Human Grade Supreme, Saint Cultivation. This is my personal bodyguard, Dragon 1 of the Mad Dragon Bloodline, Mid-Tier Saint Realm, Physical Body of a Saint. Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows. This name was a bit rare. However, Physical Body of a Saint, this was also a bit interesting. The Mad Dragon Bloodline is said to be the dragon bloodline with the strongest physical strength. Yin Xinyuan whispered. Hearing this, Tianyang immediately understood. I'm Linglong. If you're not used to it, you can continue to call me Linglong Demon Girl. Linglong Demon Girl laughed. In terms of strength, Human Great Supreme Saint, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince and Linglong Demon Girl were already two Supreme Saints. In addition, there were definitely stronger elders and Dragon Emperor. The strength of the dragon demons was more than just a little stronger than the Xinyuan family. Got it. Tianyang's thoughts flew quickly in his mind, but on the surface, he nodded without batting an eyelid. There's no time to lose. Let's go to the dragon demons immediately. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. Chapter 1355. The central region of the Southern Devil Region, the Great Thousand Mountain Range. Most people didn't know that the dragon demons behind the Dragon Emperor were located in the central region of the Southern Devil Region, the most inconspicuous Great Thousand Mountain Range. Central region? Heavenly Sun was somewhat surprised as well. According to what Li Qingchuan had said, the central region of the Southern Ghost Demon was the weakest of the 5 great regions of the Southern Ghost Demon. He didn't expect the dragon demons to be in the central region instead of the western region. That's right. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince smiled. Although people often belittle the central region of the Southern Devil Region, there has never been a dragon that dares to bully the central region. That's because of the existence of my dragon demons. When my father was at his peak, his name spread across the entire great mysterious world. That's why no one dares to invade the central region of the Southern Devil Region. Tianyang nodded slightly. With the suppression of a Saint Emperor, who would dare to provoke him? However, although the dragon demons live in the Great Thousand Mountain Range, most of them are in the depths of the Great Thousand Mountain Range. They are in a small world that belongs to the dragon demons. It might be a little troublesome to enter. I hope Brother Tianyang and Saintess Xinyuan can forgive me. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. In the next moment, he arrived at the top of the Great Thousand Mountain Range. In his hand, mysterious seals emitted rays of light. In the next moment, he struck out with his palm. A terrifying light shrouded the entire Great Thousand Mountain Range. It was so dazzling that it was much brighter than the sun in the sky. Tianyang's eyes narrowed slightly as he stared at the light. Although it was powerful, it wasn't much of a problem for an existence at the level of the heavenly sun. What the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was going to say next should be boom. A terrifying black shockwave suddenly shot out in front of the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince smiled. The rune shot out and shattered the black shockwave. However, the surrounding space also trembled violently. The dragon demons are so fierce. Do we have to fight just to open the door? Tianyang said with a strange expression. Although the shockwave was easily shattered by the Crown Prince, Tianyang could still see how powerful it was. At the very least, he was at the level of a mid-level saint. No, if it's just one person entering, they only need to shatter the shockwave of Wu Zun's pinnacle level. Because there are 5 people this time, if we want to open the spatial door for 5 people, we have to do this. Demon Dragon Crown Prince said, but there was a bitter expression on his face. At this moment, Tianyang suddenly reacted. The lifespan of Sage Emperor was as long as the heavens. Back then, the Sage Emperor who had almost killed the Dragon Emperor, but had still managed to severely injure the Dragon Emperor, was most likely still alive in this world. The small world of the dragon demons was completely sealed. That was why they needed to use such a violent method to open the door. They were clearly powerful enough to dominate the entire Xintian Great World, but because of the threat of an unknown Sage Emperor, they were forced to close the door. Tianyang shook his head. When the Dragon Emperor dominated the Xintian Great World, he had probably offended many people. Now, he naturally had to bear the consequences. Anyway, it had nothing to do with him. If it wasn't for the fragment of the Great Void Sword Embryo, Tianyang wouldn't have bothered to get involved in this mess. Let's go. A large door slowly opened as the Demon Dragon Crown Prince spoke with a faint smile. As for Long Yi and Ling Long, they were the first to enter. After making sure that there were no threats in the surroundings, Tianyang and Xinyuan Yun also entered. With Qianyang's current strength, even a heavenly great saint wouldn't be able to capture Tianyang. Even if the Demon Dragon Crown Prince really wanted to harm him, Tianyang was confident that he could cut open the void and step out of the dragon demons. Then, the dragon demons would have to suffer the revenge of the Tianji Sword Emperor. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince didn't waste time on introductions. Once he entered the dragon demons, he immediately rushed to the center of the dragon demons, where the Dragon Emperor was, the Demon Dragon Palace. First of all, a Sage Emperor is a Sage Emperor. If I can't cure him, don't trouble me. Tianyang said. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince smiled. Of course, even the Pill Saint of the Void Mountain wouldn't dare to say that he could cure my father. I just heard that the Green Profound Fire has a great effect on my father's illness. That's why I've been guarding the Zhongjua Mountain range day and night. Brother Tianyang, you've already given the dragon demons face by coming. Regardless of whether you succeed or not, the broken sword fragment will definitely be given to you. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly. If that's the case, that's for the best. Cure the illness? Tianyang wasn't in the mood for that. This time, he came purely to give face to the Great Void Sword Embryo Fragment. There was nothing else. Delisa, you started to find some strange people again? At this moment, an old voice sounded from the side. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince's expression turned ugly. This time, you found such a young guy again? Although I know you're eager to cure the Dragon Emperor, you can't just let anyone into the dragon demons. The space fluctuated slightly, and a black vortex opened. 2 figures walked out of the black vortex. One of them was tall and old. Although his hair and hair were all white, he still emitted a powerful aura. At least, he was at the peak of Earth rank. The other person was wearing a black robe. His eyes were covered, and he didn't say a word, but he emitted the aura of an expert. The Starry Sky brand embroidered on his chest made Tianyang raise his eyebrows. He seemed to have seen it somewhere before. This is the great elder of the dragon demons, Delisa. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. Then he glanced at the great elder of the dragon demons, Delisa, and said indifferently, Great Elder doesn't need to worry about what I do. You're almost 3,000 years old, and you only know how to fool around like a 3-year-old child. If your father knows, he'll definitely jump out of the Demon Dragon Palace and beat you to death. This time, they actually found a young brat. And Ling Long, you also brought her back? Are you trying to anger the Dragon Emperor to death? Delisa sneered. Don't bring back a liar. Don't you think so, Master Chun? Delifu turned his head and said with a smile. Hearing this, the black-robed elder opened his eyes. He glanced at Tianyang and nodded in an indifferent manner. This is the alchemy saint from the Void Mountain, and he's also a divine doctor, Master Chun. Delisa, listen to me. Not everyone is qualified to step into the Demon Dragon Palace, Delisa said calmly. It was as if he was teaching a lesson. After saying this, he flicked his sleeves and left. This old man. Long Yi's face was also filled with anger. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince's expression changed slightly, and then it returned to normal. It seems that the Great Elder is also here to find someone to treat my father, and he's also the alchemy saint from the Void Mountain. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. His tone was not as confident as before. However, Brother Tianyang, don't worry. Whether he's cured or not, the broken sword fragments will not be missing. Chapter 1356. Inside the Demonic Dragon Palace. The Demonic Dragon Palace was actually a large hall that had been enlarged countless times. There were no furnishings or rooms inside. Once they entered, they found themselves sitting cross-legged in the middle of the Demonic Dragon Palace. Below him, Dragon Emperor Xietian was sitting cross-legged like a block of wood, surrounded by mysterious runes that covered the entire palace. Has the Dragon Emperor always been like this? At this moment, Delifu and Master Chen seemed to have started investigating. He has been like this ever since he was injured. Delifu smiled flatteringly, as if he didn't care about the Dragon Emperor's life and death. Fawning over Master Chun was the most important thing. In fact, that was exactly the case. In Delifu's opinion, the Dragon Emperor couldn't compete with the Void Mountain, even when he was at his peak, let alone now that the Dragon Emperor was terminally ill. Instead of spending a lot of effort to save the Dragon Emperor, it would be better to use the Dragon Emperor as an excuse to build a good relationship with the Void Mountain. This is a bit difficult. Master Chen murmured and walked around the Dragon Emperor. He found that the Dragon Emperor's eyes were still closed, as if nothing in the outside world could make him react at all. I wonder what the large array below is for. Master Chen asked. Now, other than the fact that the Dragon Emperor was sitting cross-legged and didn't react at all, Master Chun didn't sense anything strange about him. Since he couldn't find out from the front, he could only ask from the side. Although he was arrogant, Master Chun was still capable since he was able to become an alchemy sage and a divine doctor that even Delifu had to treat with respect. The large array below? Hearing this, Delifu was stunned. He had invited many people, but none of them had asked about this large array. Delifu wasn't present when a large array was set up. As time passed, he actually forgot about it. Delifu, what is this large array for? Why aren't you telling Master Chen? Delifu looked up and snorted coldly as he shouted at the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. Hearing this, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince's face instantly turned gloomy. However, Tianyang only smiled. Why don't you introduce it to me? As long as it's something real, I'll definitely ask about it. The power of his primordial spirit couldn't be weak if he could become a saint through alchemy. Tianyang sensed that the power of Master Chen's primordial spirit was about the level of a beginner saint. Even in the entire Xintian macro world, such a level was not low. No wonder he was so famous and arrogant. However, in front of Tianyang, he was still a little inexperienced. This Dragon Emperor, why do I feel like he's not injured? Tianyang was a bit confused. The Demon Dragon Palace didn't have any Dharma spells that could shield one's essence soul, so there was no need for Master Chan to look around. Tianyang stood at the door and scanned Dragon Emperor's condition clearly. However, it was different from anyone he'd met before. This Dragon Emperor actually blocked Tianyang's probing. To be precise, he made Tianyang's primordial spirit shift in a strange direction. Does a Saint Emperor have his own aura? Tianyang murmured to himself. Although he couldn't directly check too much, Tianyang had a rough idea. All right, since even Tianyang said so, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince had to speak up. This array was built by my father immediately after he came back and gathered all the resources of the dragon demons. My father is not only the Saint Emperor of the dragon race, but also someone who cultivated array formations to the supreme saint realm. He set up this array very quickly. At that time, my father's injuries were suppressed. However, according to my father, this array isn't used to suppress injuries. It's mainly used to suppress something else, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. Hearing this, Master Chen looked up and his eyes lit up. What is it? I don't know. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince shook his head. My father's injuries were too serious at that time. He didn't have time to say much before he went into seclusion to recover. Until now. Hearing this, Master Chen's eyes that had just lit up returned to normal, and a trace of disappointment appeared on his face. Master Chen, is the use of this array very important? Dirif knew nothing about array formations and didn't know if what the Demon Dragon Crown Prince said before was useful. It's important and not important. If I know what the other thing is, I can be 100% sure about the Dragon Emperor situation. Master Chen sighed. Hearing this, Dirif immediately glared at the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. This guy, why didn't he ask more questions back then? Now, he had disappointed Master Chen of the Void Mountain. However, I also got some information. Now, I'm clear about the situation. Master Chen pondered for a while, then said proudly, Huh? Hearing this, Dirif was stunned. He was just disappointed, but now he understood. As expected of Master Chen, even if the information isn't complete, you can still figure it out. Unlike some liars who only know how to cheat and can't say a word when faced with a problem, Dirif said. He didn't forget to mock Tianyang. Hearing this, Tianyang shrugged. Peak of the Earth grade. When his true essence recovered, he would be able to deal with the Sky Sword. According to my original calculation, the Dragon Emperor was severely injured by the opponent's attack, and that power is still entrenched in the Dragon Emperor's body, continuously injuring the Dragon Emperor. That's why he can't recover. However, after seeing the Dragon Emperor, I overturned this idea. The Dragon Emperor's body doesn't have the same level of power as the Holy Emperor's. However, the injury is continuous. This can't be wrong. And to be able to make the Dragon Emperor like this, it must be an extremely terrifying injury that goes straight to the origin. Master Chen said proudly. He was confident that he had everything in his hands. Even the Demon Dragon Crown Prince looked convinced. Therefore, we can conclude that Evil Sky Dragon Emperor was not only injured physically, but his primordial spirit was also injured. That opponent must be someone who is proficient in the power of the Essence Soul. That's why the Dragon Emperor was able to set up the array in the first place, but couldn't wake up afterward. The array is also to suppress the poison in the Essence Soul for a long time. Then, Master Chen stood with his hands behind his back, showing the demeanor of a master. That's right. Dirif clapped his hands and shouted. Master Chen, what do you need? I'll let Duri Sha prepare it for you. Wait. Then, Master Chen said leisurely and raised his hand to silence Dirif. I'm not the only one here. Hearing this, Dirif was taken aback. As for Master Chen, he looked at Tianyang with disdain. He was the alchemy saint of the Void Mountain, one step away from becoming a sacred lord. He was also one of the top alchemists in the Void Mountain, and had cured countless great saints. This young man, who came out of nowhere, wanted to fight with him. After knowing his identity, he still shamelessly followed him. With Master Chen's arrogance, he wouldn't allow such a person to appear in front of him. I wonder what that young master has to say about my explanation. Master Chen chuckled. The disdain in his eyes was overflowing. Now, this young liar should be trembling and about to kneel and beg for mercy under his impeccable deduction. You really want me to say it? The corners of Tianyang's mouth curled into a mischievous smile. You and I are both doctors. Why can't I? Master Chen frowned. This guy is shameless? Then I'll say it. Tianyang smiled faintly and took a step forward. Chapter 1357. Bullsh ****. Tianyang chuckled. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed slightly. Yin Xuanyuan's expression was normal, but Ling Long and Long Yi's faces were filled with shock. As for the Li Fu and the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, their expressions changed slightly. As for Master Chun, he was slightly taken aback. Then, his expression suddenly turned ugly. "What did you say?" Master Chun roared. Although his voice wasn't loud, the fury in it could be heard clearly by anyone. "A liar dares to bark at me? De Li Fu, this is the person you found?" At this moment, De Li Fu shouted angrily at the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. Hearing this, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince's expression froze. Then he looked at Tianyang. He also felt that Master Chen's words made sense. "Kid, I advise you to make it clear. Otherwise, don't blame me for leaving." Master Chen's face was ferocious as he said eerily. This was the first time he was insulted by a junior ever since he entered the sage state. "De Li Fu, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and chase this guy out." At this moment, De Li Fu also spoke out in rage. Who was Tianyang? Who was Master Chun? In front of Master Chun, Tianyang should obediently kneel on the ground and nod his head in agreement. How could he have a right to speak? "For the sake of the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, I won't chase you out for now. If you continue to fart, don't blame me for being rude." At this moment, Tianyang's lips curled up into a bright smile. Hearing this, De Li Fu was stunned. Just as he was about to say something, a terrifying murderous intent locked onto him. His expression changed drastically. At this moment, Tianyang's indifferent voice sounded again. "I said you're bullsh asterisk T, because every word you say is bullsh asterisk T." Tianyang chuckled. Hearing this, Master Chun was stunned. Then his face instantly twisted. "You? Say that again." If Tianyang could point out any mistakes, even if it was just a small one, Master Chun might consider letting Tianyang off the hook. In the end, Tianyang directly insulted him. You're asking for a scolding?" Tianyang raised his eyebrows. "Then I'll give you face and repeat it. What you said is just a few hundred words. It's bullshit. Primordial spirit poison. If you really think that way, the Dragon Emperor will treat you to death," Tianyang said indifferently. Before the Demon Dragon Crown Prince explained the use of the formation, Tianyang didn't have any clue. However, after knowing the use of the formation, Tianyang immediately understood. In Tianyang's eyes, all of Master Chen's theories were nonsense. You. Hearing this, Master Chen's face flushed red and he shouted angrily. "Which sex alchemy sage are you? How dare you speak like that in front of me? Where did this liar come from? How dare you be so presumptuous in front of me? 50,000 years ago, I became a saint with my alchemy Tao. Dragon demons. Why aren't they called the demon dragon race?" Tianyang chuckled. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They didn't understand why Tianyang suddenly asked this. At this moment, Tianyang flicked his finger. An azure mystic flame burned on the Demon Dragon Crown Prince's blood. In the next moment, the dragon blood that should have been ignited suddenly went berserk. A strange black aura spurted out from this small drop of dragon blood. In the blink of an eye, it extinguished the azure mystic flame. In the next moment, this black aura instantly dyed the blood black. At this moment, countless people's expressions changed. Although they weren't familiar with this aura, they had seen it before. It was demonic chi. The Crimson Dragon Tribe, the Tyrant Dragon Tribe, the Heavenly Dragon Tribe, the Earth Dragon Tribe, and the Sea Dragon Tribe. Therefore, the word dragon is the most important word. But what about the dragon demons? Tianyang smiled. Demon blood is extremely domineering. It can naturally suppress the blood of countless living beings. Dragon blood is one of them. The combination of dragon and demon is naturally dominated by demon blood. Chapter 1358. Dragon Demon. These two words, which were normally incomparably ordinary, were deafening at this moment. Master Chun froze on the spot, while Xin Yuan Yun, Long Yi, and Ling Long were also shocked. They might have been curious about the strange name of the dragon demons, but they never thought that there was such a big secret behind it. At this moment, Darafov's expression changed. Bullsh asterisk T. Bullsh asterisk T. You're spouting nonsense. Darafov, hurry up and kick this guy out. Darafov roared. He wasn't even this angry when Tianyang mocked Master Chun. However, The demon dragon crown prince smiled bitterly and didn't do anything. Don't you know? I thought you knew. Tianyang smiled and said, how about this grand elder of the dragon demons give me a drop of his blood as well? As long as it's the spiritual fire. I'm sure there are many dragon demons who have the spiritual fire. Hearing this, Darafof's expression darkened. Before he could speak, Master Chen said excitedly, then, what does the Dragon Emperor's injury have to do with the bloodline of the dragon demons? By now, Master Chen had completely changed his arrogant and disdainful demeanor. He circled Tianyang like a student eager to learn more. Tianyang smiled faintly. It's very simple. Dragon demons have demonic blood flowing in their bodies. If they want to cultivate the martial arts of the Xiantian Great World, they must suppress the demonic blood. How can the demonic blood be so easy to suppress? I'm sure the dragon demons will suffer some backlash when cultivating their own dragon cultivation techniques. Hearing this, Darafof's expression changed again. He turned green and then white, but he still couldn't refute. Then, after the Dragon Emperor was heavily injured in the battle, he could no longer suppress the demonic blood in his body. As a result, the Dragon Emperor only had time to set up a formation to suppress the demonic aura before going into seclusion. Does that make sense? Tianyang chuckled. Master Chen also fell silent. Tianyang's deductions, other than the part about unraveling the mystery of the dragon demon's bloodline, were mostly guesses. However, for some reason, Master Chen had a feeling that Tianyang was right. What a joke. Master Chen relied on inference, but Tianyang directly used the power of primordial spirit and Tianyang's sword to sense it. Due to the suppression of the formation, there was no demonic aura at all. However, the moment Tianyang's power of primordial spirit came into contact with the Dragon Emperor, the Tianyang sword in his sea of soul went berserk. The demonic aura was like a torrent, following the power of primordial spirit into Tianyang's body. Not to be outdone, the Tianyang sword erupted with a billowing, devouring power and swallowed all the demonic aura. If Tianyang still didn't know the real reason why the Dragon Emperor was in seclusion, then he would be ashamed of his sage cultivation. Then, how can I revive the Dragon Emperor? Master Chen was puzzled. At this moment, Darafof spoke furiously. Wait, even if you know the secret of the dragon demon's bloodline, whether or not the Dragon Emperor's injuries are related to this is still a question. If you want the dragon demons to let you do as you please, absolutely not. Darafof said. Hearing this, before Tianyang could say anything, the demon dragon crown prince was the first to feel that something was wrong. Everyone among the dragon demons knew that the dragon demons had the bloodline of the demon race. Why would Darafof be so afraid? With the dragon demon's current strength, even if they were to spread to the Xiantian Great World, there would be very few people who would dare to attack the dragon demons. After all, they were not some weak race. And now, even if Tianyang was wrong, with the Dragon Emperor situation, how could it be worse? Previously, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince had asked for the Dragon King's inheritance in the ancestral land of the Dragon God in order to maintain the Dragon Emperor's worsening condition. This time, he had waited bitterly for the Azure Mystic Fire because he needed it to prolong the Dragon Emperor's life. Now that there was a chance to heal the Dragon Emperor, why was Darafof obstructing it? Grand Elder, now is not the time for you to speak, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince said calmly. His words carried a terrifying aura. Darafof, as the Crown Prince of the Dragon Demons, I order you to stand down. At this moment, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince finally had the domineering aura of a Crown Prince. Darafof, could it be that you're going to let this unknown person? This brother is called Tianyang. I wonder if the Grand Elder is aware of his background? The Demon Dragon Crown Prince shouted. Hearing this, Master Chen and Darafof's expressions changed drastically. Tianyang. This name had spread throughout the entire mysterious sky, great cosmos in the past year. The slayer of the Xianyuan family, known as the true, supreme genius of the younger generation. They had never heard of him, so naturally, it was impossible. I wonder if Brother Tianyang has any orders? At this moment, The demon dragon crown prince turned around and said to the heavenly son. Tianyang chuckled. Since this grand elder wants to know whether it's true or not, then let him know. The demonic chi on the dragon emperor's body could be detected with just a little bit of primordial spirit power. Previously, Master Chen realized that the primordial spirit power was useless and immediately turned to the array, so he didn't notice the majestic demonic chi on the dragon emperor. As for the people before, they probably didn't even have the sage realm primordial spirit power. The primordial spirit power couldn't even get close to the dragon emperor. That was why no one discovered the dragon emperor's true condition. You can still prove it. The demon dragon crown prince was stunned. Then he cupped his fists and said, "What do you want me to do? Stop this array for 1 second." Tianyang smiled. Hearing this, the demon dragon crown prince was stunned. Then he nodded. Okay. In the next moment, the demon dragon crown prince waved his hand, and an incomparably terrifying surge of energy erupted from his body. As the demon dragon crown prince, he had the power to control everything in the demon dragon palace without the dragon emperor. Wait, our dragon emperor, how can we let a human? Boom! At this moment, the array that was constantly suppressing the dragon emperor's berserk demonic blood suddenly stopped. In the next moment, on the dragon emperor's body, streams of demonic chi dragons instantly roared out. This demonic chi, Master Chen's expression changed drastically, and he immediately took action to block the attack of one of the demonic chi dragons. However, he was still sent flying by the demonic chi dragons. As for Li Fu, although he was a little better, he was still forced to retreat in front of such a large number of demonic chi dragons. This is the demonic blood in Father's body. At this moment, the demon dragon crown prince's body trembled as he looked at the demonic chi dragons that were constantly flying out of the dragon emperor's body. This was the existence that the dragon emperor couldn't suppress even after fighting for countless years with the power of the sage emperor. Have you seen enough? Suddenly, Tianyang chuckled. In his hand, the great void sword embryo flashed with 9 colors of Xinguang. If you've seen enough, then prepare to deal with these bastards. Tianyang smiled slightly, and in his eyes, a blazing flame burned. In his eyes, these demonic chi dragons weren't a terrifying natural disaster that even the sage emperor couldn't suppress. Instead, it was a chance for the Tianyang sword to break through to the superior grade sage realm, or even the peak of the sage realm. Get out of the way, Tianyang roared, and then 1 man and 1 sword charged into the demonic chi tide. On the great void sword embryo in his hand, the 9-colored Xinguang flashed, and a terrifying devouring power erupted. Azure mystical fire to cure illnesses and save people. Chapter 1359. The vast demonic aura surged like a giant dragon. In an instant, everyone, including the first elder of the dragon demons, Li Fu, and the demon dragon crown prince, were shocked. The dragon emperor's body actually contained such a vast amount of demonic aura. So, Tianyang smiled and released the great void sword embryo. The sword cut a demonic dragon in half. At the same time, the devouring power erupted and devoured all the demonic aura that dissipated after the demonic dragon exploded. Now, do you believe me? In the next moment, Heavenly Sun slashed out with his sword once more, causing countless dragons of demonic aura to explode. They turned into demonic aura and were devoured by the Tianyang sword. The Tianyang sword was not far from the peak of the middle saint grade. The demonic blood in the Dragon Emperor's body had also become extremely powerful under the Dragon Emperor's cultivation. The quality of the demonic aura that was born was also extremely high. Even the Great Lord of Heaven's demonic aura was not as strong as the Dragon Emperor's demonic aura. After devouring the demonic aura, the Tianyang sword's energy had reached a bottleneck. If Tianyang wanted to, he could definitely break through to the high saint grade. However, Tianyang did not break through immediately. After all, this was still a battlefield. There was a large amount of demonic aura. Moreover, Tianyang had another ambition. With the demonic aura, he could break through the barrier between the high Saint grade and the peak Saint grade and step into the peak Saint grade martial soul. Destroy it. At this moment, Delifu also reacted instantly. His expression changed drastically, and with a furious roar, a terrifying dragon force was released. However, the moment the dragon force collided with the demonic aura, it changed abruptly. Streams of black light were produced. Although it had destroyed a demonic aura dragon, the dragon force was devoured by the demonic aura it produced. In the end, it turned into a more terrifying attack than the demonic aura dragon and attacked Delifu. Seeing this, Delifu's expression changed drastically. He had never expected this. On the other side, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was also in the same situation. His attack had little effect. Instead, the attack had returned to him, causing the situation to take a turn for the worse. Delifu, quickly reactivate the array. Delifu roared angrily. Then, he looked at Master Chun, who was in danger under the attack of the demonic aura dragon. Delifu punched the demonic aura dragons and rushed toward Master Chun. Master Chun was the alchemy sage of the Void Mountain. Delifu could not let Master Chun die here. Otherwise, the wrath of the Void Mountain could not be blocked by the power of the demonic dragon clan, whose Saint Emperor was in a deep slumber. I can't believe it's true. While Master Chun was fighting the demonic aura dragon demon aura, who would have thought that the problem with the evil Sky Dragon Emperor would be his bloodline source? The demonic aura. Understanding of the Dragon Emperor Masters, the demonic aura ancient dragon boom. At the same time, the fiend Chi turned into a giant dragon and charged toward Master Chun. Oh no, this was not the place for enlightenment. Master Chin's expression changed instantly, and he hurriedly attacked to repel the demonic Chi dragon. However, Master Chun had become a saint through alchemy after all. Although he had the true essence and primordial spirit of a saint, he was still much weaker than Tianyang, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, and Yun Xianyuan in terms of battle. He might be able to repel one or two demonic dragons, but in a situation where all of them were demonic Chi dragons, it was impossible for him to do so. Even if Master Chun didn't die right away, he would die soon. Master Chun, get out of here. Teresa, can't the array be reactivated? Delifu threw out another punch. With his powerful physical strength, he could indeed kill the demon dragon's power without suffering any backlash. However, it was almost impossible to weaken the massive amount of demonic Chi with just the strength of his physical body. All right, Master Chun also nodded. He also knew that he would only be a burden if he stayed here. His figure flashed, and he rushed out of the Demon Dragon Palace. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince's expression was extremely ugly. The array beneath his feet, although it could be activated, the effect, it seemed to have been weakened countless times. Grand Elder, this array can't be suppressed any longer. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince growled. Hearing this, Delifu's expression changed drastically. What did you say? At this moment, countless demonic Chi dragons shot out. Delifu used all his strength to shatter the countless demonic Chi dragons, opening a path through the demonic Chi tide and arriving in front of the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. The array can't be used. It's not that it can't be used. The array is still suppressing the demonic Chi, but once the demonic Chi in Father's body is released, the amount has reached a terrifying level. The array can continue to weaken the demonic Chi, but the effect is much weaker than before. What? Hearing this, Delifu's expression changed drastically. Even the array couldn't suppress it? If that was the case, wouldn't the demonic Chi of the Holy Emperor be enough to destroy the entire dragon demons? Damn it. You, Tianyang, it's all your fault. Delifu's expression suddenly turned sinister. At this moment, Tianyang's voice sounded. Yun Xianyuan and the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, you guys can leave first. Hearing this, Yun Xianyuan, who was constantly using the mystical force to block the demonic Chi dragons, was stunned. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince was also stunned. What did you say? Delifu was bewildered. In the next moment, Tianyang's voice sounded again. All of you can leave. Leave this place for me to handle alone." Tianyang smiled faintly. Hearing this, the demon dragon crown prince's eyes turned red. "No, brother Tianyang, this is the dragon emperor of our dragon demons. The demonic chi that erupts should be borne by the dragon demons. How can I let you bear it alone?" The demon dragon crown prince never thought that Tianyang, who was merely an acquaintance, would actually be willing to bear this terrifying demonic chi tide for his friend. Yun Xianyuan, on the other hand, was decisive. He immediately growled, "I won't." In the next moment, the immemorial mystical chi power erupted once again, freezing the surrounding demonic chi dragons. The Lifu was also slightly moved. "This human, I told you guys to leave, so you should leave?" Tianyang was speechless. At this moment, he was standing in front of the Dragon Emperor. The great void sword embryo in his hand carried the power of the heavenly sword as it continuously devoured the surrounding demonic chi. The sinister and terrifying demonic chi dragons were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered in front of Tianyang. They didn't have the slightest strength to resist. "Since he said so, let's go," the Lifu muttered. Then, without caring whether the demon dragon crown prince and Linglong were willing or not, he immediately took them away. "If the situation is bad, we will return." Hearing this, the demon dragon crown prince could only agree. As for Yun Xianyuan, he was even more straightforward. Tianyang directly sent out a blast of true essence and blasted Yun Xianyuan out of the door. "Master," Yun Xianyuan roared. However, after they all left, the door of the demonic dragon palace was completely closed. Inside, there was only Tianyang and the endless demonic chi tide. Master Tianyang actually. Master Chun was completely moved. He never thought that Tianyang would be so righteous. The demon dragon crown prince and the others had ugly expressions. The demon dragon crown prince even fiercely bombarded the door of the demonic dragon palace. "Brother Tianyang, in the demonic dragon palace. The hindrance is finally gone. Now." Chapter 1360. Boom! After losing the demon dragon crown prince, Yin Xianyuan, Linglong, and the other targets, the surging demonic chi shifted their target to Tianyang. Tianyang was extremely calm about this. The great void sword embryo in his hand unleashed its devouring power to the extreme. "I'm afraid that all the demonic chi on the demonic planet combined isn't as strong as the Dragon Emperor's demonic chi. The Saint Emperor alone could take on a great world." Tianyang muttered to himself. He lifted the great void sword embryo and charged into the sea of demonic chi to kill. Under the suppression of the array, these demonic chi dragons only had the strength of mid-level Saint Realm to Saint Monarch Realm. In front of Tianyang, who had defeated Saint Qingming and tortured Xianyuan Kongming, they were as easy as chopping vegetables. Streaks of sword light swept out, almost splitting the entire sea of demonic chi into two. This array is really strange. It actually has such a strong suppressive effect on demonic chi. The corners of Tianyang's mouth curled up. This large array had helped him greatly. If it wasn't for this array suppressing the demonic blood in the Dragon Emperor's body for countless years, the demonic chi that erupted would have the strength of a great saint. It might even condense a demonic chi spirit like the one in the Tianshao Great World's nest of 1,000 demons. At that time, Tianyang would be finished. The demonic chi spirit condensed from the Saint Emperor's demonic chi wouldn't be weaker than the Xianyuan family's patriarch. But now, it was just a bunch of trash below Saint Monarch Realm. The demonic chi on the demonic planet was too scattered. Tianyang didn't know how long it would take to devour it. But now, all the demonic chi was concentrated in the demonic dragon palace, which was less than 10,000 meters in radius. Moreover, in the process of devouring the demonic chi, the Sky Cloud Sword would convert some of the energy that couldn't be absorbed into the sword into Tianyang's true yuan. As a result, Tianyang's true yuan, which was only left with 20 to 30%, increased after countless devouring. In this way, what did Tianyang have to be afraid of? Tut, tut, tut. while Tianyang was madly chopping vegetables in the Demon Dragon Palace and devouring the demon Qi outside the Demon Dragon Palace. The atmosphere was heavy. I didn't expect Brother Tianyang to actually. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince was the first to break the silence. The demonic Dragon Palace was isolated from the outside world by an array. Even Master Chun, who had the power of a Saint Realm primordial spirit, couldn't know what was going on inside the palace. Grandmaster Tianyang is definitely a grandmaster of alchemy and a divine doctor. I, Chun Mao, am nothing but trash in front of Master Tianyang. When I think about how arrogant I was in front of Master Tianyang, I feel ashamed. I didn't expect that such an existence would, Master Chun sighed. Ever since he'd entered the alchemy Saint Plane and healed thousands of cultivators by studying the countless ancient scriptures in the Void Mountain, he'd become arrogant and unrivaled. Even the patriarch of one Dan holy sect was only SOSO. However, in front of Tianyang, this was the first time Chun Beifan admitted defeat. As for the words that were left unspoken, it was Tianyang's inevitable death. Demonic Qi surged and condensed into an ocean. In such a place, even a heavenly great sage would die. Tianyang was only a high-level saint. How could he survive in such an environment? Grand Elder, although I don't want to fall out with you now, I have to talk to the Elder Hall of the Dragon Demons this time. If you didn't insist on proving yourself, Brother Tianyang wouldn't have asked me to stop the array temporarily, and things wouldn't be like this. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince also spoke angrily. This time he was really angry. To the side, the seductive and frivolous Ling Long also wore a stern expression. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince and Ling Long were both angry. This time, Dalifu's face also turned ugly. Ling Long wasn't a member of the Dragon Demons, but she was inextricably linked to the Dragon Demons. Ling Long's mysteriousness also made Dalifu quite wary. If Ling Long was also angry, then even if he was the Grand Elder of the Dragon Demons, he wouldn't be able to get away with it. I originally thought that Tianyang was just a pretty boy. Now I, Long Yi, can only admit defeat. Long Yi said in a muffled voice, "Your Highness, I'll go find the confinement myself." "Don't move." The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said coldly, "We'll talk about the confinement later. Now let's wait. Wait until Brother Tianyang comes out, or the demonic Qi comes out. But no matter which one it is, Dalifu, listen carefully. I, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, am not to be trifled with." The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said coldly. Hearing this, Dalifu also felt a chill. Facing the might of the Crown Prince, even if he was the Grand Elder of the Dragon Demons, he couldn't help but be afraid. In the end, he could only hope that Tianyang died in the Demon Dragon Palace. This way, even if the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was the Crown Prince of the Dragon Demons, the Elder Hall wouldn't make a big move against him, the Grand Elder, for a dead person. Although you can be said to have saved this old man's life, it's still better for you to die in this Demon Dragon Palace. Dalifu's expression was sinister as he muttered in his heart. In any case, I'll help you to the end. As a human, to be able to save my life, it can be said that I have no regrets in this life. Tianyang didn't know what was happening outside. At this moment, he was completely immersed in the pleasure of swallowing the demonic Qi. Tianyang never expected that the demonic blood of the Dragon Demons could be so strong. He also didn't expect that the Sky Firmament Sword and the demonic Qi would be unable to withstand it first. Of course, this didn't mean that the Sky Firmament Sword couldn't withstand the demonic Qi. The strongest demonic Qi was only at the level of a great sage. Not to mention this sea of demonic Qi. Even if it was the size of the Vientiane Sky Ruins, the Sky Firmament Sword would be able to swallow it all. The reason why this place couldn't withstand it was because the Sky Firmament Sword couldn't suppress the urge to break through. If I break through now, it's not that I can't reach the peak of the Saint Heavenly Sovereign level. However, there's still so much demonic Qi left. Tianyang was speechless. After his crazy swallowing, the demonic Qi that almost enveloped the entire Demon Dragon Palace in darkness had dissipated by a lot. However, even so, there was still a huge amount of demonic chi left. Although the demon dragon crown prince and Yun Xianyuan could deal with the demonic chi outside, Tianyang's heart would ache. The demonic chi was the capital of the sky, firmament sword's growth. I don't care. I'll swallow as much as I can. Tianyang gritted his teeth. The swallowing speed that he had just slowed down exploded again. At this moment, the sky firmament sword in Tianyang's spirit sea flashed. Just when Tianyang thought that the sky firmament sword was about to break through, a terrifying nine-colored Xingguang rushed into Tianyang's energy center. In an instant, countless demonic chi turned into the purest form of true origin and poured into Tianyang's body. Tianyang's understanding of the Saint Tao had already soared to a level that ordinary great sages couldn't reach after his battles with the great sages. The reason why he couldn't break through was that the chaos origin required an endless amount of true origin. Now he was satisfied. Boom! Tianyang's cultivation instantly skyrocketed. In just a moment, Tianyang's aura soared by countless times. In the next second, his aura stabilized. He was already at the peak of the Saint's stage. Chapter 1361. Sage. One had to know that Tianyang's primordial spirit had stepped into the sage realm and broken through to become a sage. As for breaking through to the sage realm, it was almost a year ago. In a year, he had just entered the sage realm and leaped to the sage realm. If this were to spread out, 10 out of 10 people would not believe it. Cultivation was difficult, but cultivation in the sage realm was even more difficult. If an ordinary sage realm cultivator did not cultivate for thousands or tens of thousands of years to break through to the next realm, would they still be called a sage realm cultivator? This was also the reason why Xianyuan Kongming tried his best to persuade old ancestor Xianyuan to kill Tianyang, even when old ancestor Xianyuan had already expressed his disdain to kill Tianyang and even issued a warrant for his arrest. He knew that Xianyuan Qingming had traveled to other worlds only more than 30 years ago. Tianyang was only in his 30s. In his 30s, he was born in the Tianshao Great World, a world with weak martial arts. But he was able to defeat Xianyuan Kongming, an old monster who had cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years. This kind of potential and talent was simply unheard of. It was a pity that Xianyuan Kongming did not know that he had failed to kill Tianyang in the Xianyuan family. In the future, there was not the slightest possibility of killing Tianyang. The sky firmament sword is quite smart. Tianyang raised his eyebrows, revealing a trace of surprise. The sky firmament sword was a divine sword that he had forged when he was the Tianji Sword Emperor of the Tianshao Great World in his previous life. It had a strong ability to grow. However, Tianyang did not remember that the sky firmament sword was so strong. Speaking of which, I'm not sure how I was reborn. Tianyang frowned. However, with Tianyang's current strength, it was almost impossible for him to know. Therefore, he put in the bottom of his heart and continued to welcome the terrifying sea of demonic aura. The sky firmament sword had reached a limit, but Tianyang continued to work hard, trying to let the sky firmament sword continue to accumulate some energy before it broke through the limit. Anyway, in the end, if it could not continue to accumulate, it would turn into the purest true yuan and enter Tianyang's body. Tianyang, on the other hand, was constantly tempering himself and strengthening his cultivation amidst the countless devouring and sword slashes. It was even to the extent that Tianyang would directly stab Skycloud into the ground and allow it to devour him. As for himself, he would fight the dragons formed from demonic energy with his bare hands. The weak demonic chi dragons had already been devoured by the heaven firmament sword. The remaining ones were all at the Saint Lord realm, and were even elites among the Saint Lords. Tianyang fought with these demonic chi dragons, constantly enriching his combat experience, strengthening his combat instincts, and tempering his physical strength. The body of the Dragon Emperor had already been cultivated to the greater success stage. In that case, Tianyang had to think about the 9th refinement of the 9 refined dragon body, which was also the final 9 refined dragon body. When Crimson Dragon Wu Zun created the 9 refined dragon body, He certainly did not expect that the 9 refined dragon body would allow one to enter the Saint Realm, or even the Great Saint Realm and the Holy Emperor Realm. It's a pity that Crimson Dragon Wuzun has already fallen. Otherwise, I could have looked for him to discuss the creation of the 9 refined dragon body. Tianyong thought to himself as he tore apart a demonic chi dragon with his bare hands. However, when he thought about it, it was impossible. Crimson Dragon Wuzun was an ancient existence in the Tianshao Great World. He was hundreds of millions of years away from Tianyong. Not to mention Wuzun, even a saint or great saint would not have such a long lifespan. Forget it. I still have to walk my own path. That's right. I still have the Vajra body tempering sacred technique that I haven't cultivated yet. Tianyong smiled slightly and immediately began cultivating the Vajra body tempering sacred technique. The Vajra body tempering sacred technique emphasized the forging of Vajra through hundreds of battles. These endless demonic chi dragons were the best opponents for Tianyong to temper his body. Bolts of lightning wrapped around Tianyong's body. Tianyong roared and punched out. A burst of energy passed through his body and exploded. One of the demonic chi dragons also broke apart. Tianyong did not notice that as the number of demonic chi dragons decreased, the Dragon Emperor was sitting cross-legged in the center of the Great Array, which was also the center of the demonic Dragon Palace. There seemed to be a trace of vitality. Cultivation was endless. At this moment, it was already the first month that Tianyong stayed alone in the demonic Dragon Palace to fight the demonic chi dragons. The demonic dragon crown prince's face was gloomy to the extreme. Brother Tianyong, don't worry. Even if you die, I will help you take revenge on the Xian Yuan family. The demonic dragon crown prince had been waiting in front of the demonic dragon palace for a month. However, after a month, even the demonic dragon crown prince felt despair. The demonic chi in the dragon emperor's body was the blood of a saint emperor. How terrifying would the demonic chi released by the saint emperor's demonic chi be? The demonic dragon crown prince asked himself. If he went in, he would definitely not survive for 3 days. Now it had been a month. Although the demonic chi inside had not erupted, the possibility of Tianyong being alive was infinitely close to zero. Yun Xianyuan, on the other hand, was kneeling in front of the demonic dragon palace, staring inside. Since the 3rd day, she had been in this state. She now regretted removing Tianyong's demon slave imprint. If the demon slave imprint was still there, she would at least be able to know Tianyong's condition. Even if Tianyong died, she would die with him. As for Li Fu, his expression did not change, but in his heart, he was laughing to the extreme. Tianyong was dead, so it was impossible for the demonic dragon crown prince to use the crown prince's power to suppress him. He, Li Fu, was also the great elder of the dragon demons. As for Master Chun, Li Fu did not care. That Master Chun seemed to be completely convinced by Tianyong, and he would most likely not be able to win Tianyong's favor by speaking ill of him. Anyway, he was just an alchemy sage of the Void Mountain. If he could curry favor with him, then so be it. If not, then there was no loss. Sigh, the demonic dragon crown prince sighed, and in front of the demonic dragon palace, there was silence again. Boom! With the last loud sound, countless lightning bolts bloomed. On the surface of Tianyong's body, rays of golden brilliance circulated, and Tianyong's entire person became incomparably holy. It was as if a Vajra had descended to the world, subduing everything in the world. Even though these bald monks of the Buddhist sect are all hypocrites, there's truly nothing to say about this body tempering technique. Tianyong muttered to himself, and the golden brilliance on the surface of his body also retracted. In this month, Tianyong had been cultivating the Vajra body tempering sacred technique, and under Tianyong's countless battles with the demonic chi giant dragon, he had cultivated to the small success stage. The Vajra body tempering sacred technique was much more powerful than the 9 tempering dragon body. Although it was only at the small success stage, Tianyong could clearly feel that his physical strength was at least twice as strong as before. If he encountered the Void Mountain's young master again, Tianyang could tear him apart with just the strength of his physical body. Cough, cough. The other party had not offended Tianyang, so it was better not to use him as an example. However, Tianyang's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. There was no doubt about this. The rest is of no value. In this month, Tianyang had not used his true essence. He had only used his physical strength and the Vajra body-tempering sacred technique to fight with the demonic Chi giant dragon. In the beginning, there were wins and losses, and the effect of Tianyang's body-tempering sacred technique was the best. But now, Tianyang could kill these demonic Chi giant dragons with one hand, so there was no value in continuing to cultivate. Sky Cloud Sword, devour, Tianyang shouted, and in an instant, extremely terrifying devouring power erupted. All the demonic Chi born from the Dragon Emperor's demonic blood was completely devoured at this moment. The Sky Cloud Sword was no longer suppressed and directly broke through. Middle tier, Saint Grade. High tier, Saint Grade. Peak Saint Grade. Boom! Beams of 9-colored Xingguang bloomed, and almost the entire small world of the dragon demons could see it clearly. A terrifying thundercloud had also formed in the sky. Chapter 1362. Boom! An extremely terrifying calamity light was brewing in the sky. Layers of thunderclouds covered the entire small world of the dragon demons. But the strange thing was that even so, the 9-colored Xingguang still didn't disappear. This what's going on? The demon dragon crown prince was also stunned as he stared at the sky. At this moment, Yun Xinyuan also finally moved. Her eyes flashed with hope. Could it be that the Dragon Emperor has recovered? Is this the Dragon Emperor's move? No. Hearing this, the demon dragon crown prince shook his head. Father's power isn't like this. Hearing this, Yun Xuanyuan's body trembled, but she didn't collapse immediately. Instead, she stood up quietly. She felt a sense of familiarity from the 9-colored Xingguang. She dared to conclude that this was Tianyang's power. Tianyang definitely didn't die, even if there was no evidence. Could it be that Tianyang survived? This thought flashed through to Li Fu's mind, but then he shook his head and rejected it. Ridiculous. How could this be possible? In that environment where the demonic aura was raging, even he would die if he went there. How could Tianyang, a high-level saint, survive? There was probably another reason for this phenomenon. Even Yun Xinyuan and the demon dragon crown prince were like this, so naturally, the others were also puzzled. Only Ling Long revealed a strange expression on her face. Boom! At this moment, the calamity clouds in the sky finally let out the first terrifying roar. The lightning that was thicker than the entire demon dragon palace fiercely struck down toward Tianyang, who was holding the sky firmament sword. Tianyang's expression didn't change. He snorted coldly, and the sky firmament sword in his hand emitted rays of light. If the current sky firmament sword were to materialize, its power wouldn't be inferior to the great void sword embryo. At this moment, it was facing the calamity summoned by the sky firmament sword. The sky firmament sword itself was stronger than the great void sword embryo. Boom! The lightning fiercely collided with Tianyang's sword light, and both were annihilated. However, in the next moment, the lightning that resembled the 9 heavens thunderstorm struck again. Boom! Boom! T. Tianyang's expression at this moment also changed. He only wanted to use the massive demonic aura to let the sky firmament sword break through to the peak of the saint grade. However, he neglected the fact that such a ferocious breakthrough would bring about the calamity. 10,000 destruction. A sliver of chaotic aura was infused into the heavenly sword. The 9 saints' great paths merged at this moment. In an instant, a sword that seemed to be able to tear the heavens and earth apart was slashed out. The terrifying sword light directly shattered the roof of the demonic dragon palace and collided with the countless thunderstorms. It looked like an ant challenging a giant tiger. It was this ant that had completely shattered the tiger-like thunderstorm. After all, how could the tribulation be so simple? In the thunderclouds, rays of golden light shone. Then, a golden lightning that was much smaller than the original lightning, but its destructive power was countless times more powerful fell. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression changed greatly. 9 destruction golden lightning. Furthermore, this 9 destruction golden lightning was even stronger than the 9 destruction golden lightning he encountered in the black underworld soul prison. Damn it, Tianyang's expression darkened. The sky firmament, sword in his hand, released rays of Xinguang. In the next moment, the sky firmament sword embryo, which had merged with the 9 heavens' holy paths, was struck again. Boom! The sky firmament sword embryo had shattered the entire thunderstorm with a single strike. However, the sky firmament sword embryo now seemed to be struggling against the 9 destruction golden lightning alone. In the end, the 9 destruction golden lightning was successfully blocked. However, the price was that the 10,000 mammoth annihilation was completely nullified. This guy is so strong, Tianyang gritted his teeth. At this time, blood, gold, and black intertwined in the sky. The blood demon lightning, 9 destruction golden lightning, and annihilation divine lightning fell together. The destructive power made even Tianyang's expression change greatly. Outside, the demon dragon crown prince, Yun Xianyuan, and the others' expressions changed completely. This power, even a spiritual grade great saint would be killed instantly. Long he trembled. Long he said with a trembling voice. Just looking at the countless lightning bolts in the sky, his mind was trembling. The demon dragon crown prince's face was much paler. He turned his head and saw that the Li Fu was also trembling slightly. As for Ling Long, her face was filled with unprecedented shock. Boom! The first lightning bolt finally struck. Tianyang held the sky firmament sword and successfully blocked the 9 destruction golden lightning. However, the blood demon lightning and annihilation divine lightning were closely followed. Boom! Boom! Tianyang swung his sword continuously. Chaotic chi surged, and Saint Dao energy burst out, shattering many lightning bolts. However, there were still countless lightning bolts that struck Tianyang's body. Tianyang's physical body was almost broken. Fortunately, he had put all his effort into tempering his physical body in the past month. Otherwise, Tianyang's physical body might have collapsed. Again, Tianyang smirked, and the great void sword embryo in his hand burned with annihilation true flames. The tribulation clouds in the sky seemed to have heard Tianyang's provocation and let out a furious roar. Boom! This time, there was no blood demon lightning or annihilation divine lightning, but the pure 9 destruction golden lightning. There weren't many 9 destruction golden lightning. There were only 6 bolts. However, the destructive aura emitted from these 6 bolts. Even an earthly grade great saint would tremble in fear. Boom! 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 Poof! 6 bolts of 9 destruction golden lightning struck. This time, Tianyang could only block the first 9 destruction golden lightning. As for the rest, he could only use his true yuan and physical body to resist. This time, even the physical body that was tempered by the Vajra body tempering sacred technique and the 9 refinements dragon body was broken. Blood spurted out, and Tianyang was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The undying divine flame burned and quickly repaired his body. However, the tribulation clouds in the sky remained unchanged. Once again, it roared ferociously. This time, it was normal lightning, annihilation divine lightning, blood demon lightning, and 9 destruction golden lightning. The peak earthly grade great Saint Li Fu was already trembling. His old face was filled with fear. As for the demon dragon crown prince and the others, they were completely terrified. The corners of Tianyang's mouth twitched. The ultimate killing energy gathered on the sky cloud sword. This time, even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Boom! A loud explosion resounded through the sky. Lightning fell. As for Tianyang, he was ready to attack at any time and use the final sky cloud sword. So noisy. At this time, a faint middle-aged male voice sounded. Then, a dragon claw suddenly appeared in the center of the countless lightning bolts. It was pitch black and huge, covering the entire thunderstorm. Then it grabbed with force. Boom! Countless lightning bolts instantly exploded. The tribulation clouds were also torn to pieces by the power of the dragon claw. Tianyong was stunned. The accumulated sky cloud sword also slowly dissipated. In front of him, the Dragon Emperor, who had been sitting cross-legged like a dead person, also stood up shakily with one hand on the ground. So annoying, I just woke up and already shooting firecrackers in my head. The middle-aged man scratched his ear and said, Chapter 1363. Tianyong looked at the middle-aged man in front of him in disbelief. His robes were loose, he looked incomparably thin and weak, and his face was pale as if he had drunk too much. His exposed arm, although it was still considered strong, it did not have any connection with the Dragon Emperor in Tianyong's impression. The previous Tianyong, with the power of his primordial spirit, could not perceive too clearly. He thought that the Dragon Emperor was as tall as his loose robes. Now, he was tall and looked thin. Only his face was the same as before. Human race? The middle-aged man, or rather the Dragon Emperor, looked at Tianyong, his face revealing a trace of surprise. Isn't this my demon dragon palace? How could there be a human? Tianyong looked at the Dragon Emperor with a face full of fear. The true essence in his body circulated, the source of chaos, ready to explode at any moment. The person in front of him was the overlord of the southern demon ghost realm, the Dragon Emperor, who knew what he would do. The Dragon Emperor, in other words, was the Xie demon emperor. Oh, I remember, you were the one who finished the demonic qi in my demon blood. Dragon Emperor Xie rubbed his temples as he thought of something. Many thanks. The Dragon Emperor patted Tianyong's shoulder and laughed. Tianyong suddenly felt that all the bones in his body were about to fall apart. At the same time, there was a strange feeling. The Dragon Emperor? Why was he like a fool? Speaking of which, the current situation is really strange. Those old bald donkeys of the Western Pure Land, they only know how to use sneaky methods when fighting. They know that the Dragon Demon's bloodline has problems, so they focus on the bloodline. The Dragon Emperor muttered. In his eyes, there was a trace of killing intent. Even if he did not put on airs and was heavily injured for 1,000 years, it was impossible for him to forget his hatred. On the contrary, this hatred, as time passed, it became stronger and stronger. Western Buddha Pure Land? Tianyong was stunned. The West Buddha Pure Land was the only one out of the 5 great continents of the mysterious sky great world that he had not been to. He had been to the Eastern Sky Divine Land the most. He had participated in the Myriad Pill ceremony and even destroyed the Medicine God sect. As for the Great Northern Desert, he would go to the ancestral land of the Dragon God, where he would comprehend the essence of primal chaos and break through to the Saint Realm. He had been to the Divine Central Continent once and killed the entire Xianyuan family, leaving only 2 people alive. However, he had also severely injured Ling Yuhan to the brink of death. South Devil's Nest is here right now. Tianyong had never been to the blessed lands of West Buddha. In his mind, other than the name and the Vajra body refining saint technique, he didn't have much of an impression. As for the blessed land of the West, it was also the most bizarre place in the legends. It was said that there was a supreme expert in the blessed lands of the West who had laid down a terrifying barrier that covered the entire continent. Anyone who entered would be invisibly affected by the Buddhist power of the blessed lands of the West. Of course, according to the blessed lands of the West, this barrier was called the Pure Land of Bliss, and the strange Buddhist power that changed one's heart was called the power of will. In Tianyong's heart, he was most afraid of the blessed lands of the West. One of those old bald donkeys from the blessed lands of the West couldn't beat me, so 2 of them came up. One of them even shot arrows at me and used some karmic fire to activate my demon blood. Wash away my sins, wash away my King's stinky sins. My ancestors slept with the demons, so I'm guilty too? The Dragon Emperor muttered. Hearing this, Tianyong could only smile bitterly. In the eyes of the public, having demon blood was indeed a sin. This was also the reason why the demon dragon crown prince and Alifu's expressions changed when Tianyang exposed it. While the Dragon Emperor was in seclusion, if the secret of the dragon demon's bloodline was spread, who knew how many forces would use the excuse of eliminating demons to divide up the dragon demons? Although Tianyang had the Sky Cloud sword that could devour demon chi, he didn't have any ill feelings towards the dragon demons. Demon blood wasn't a sin. Sins were always caused by the things one did. The countless demon kings of the Tianshao great world slaughtered all living beings. The demon emperor activated the blood sea. This was their sin. The blood demons of the demonic planet tried to kill Tianyang in vain. The great lord of heaven captured countless Wu Zun and absorbed their life essence. This was their sin. The sin of demonic blood was a term that Tianyang disdained the most. However, it was very popular in the Xintian great world. Of course, there was a big premise to all of this. Those who provoke me will die. Forget it, forget it. It's beneath me to complain to a human kid like you. However, since you woke me up and removed my demon chi, no matter what, I have to give you something good. Dragon Emperor Xietian laughed, and in the next moment he pointed a finger. A strange energy gathered from the Dragon Emperor's body to his finger. Then it turned into a ball of light and shot into Tianyang's body. Tianyang's pupil shrank. On this black ball of light, he felt a power similar to the chaos origin. It was also the power of the origin. I became a holy emperor because of this darkness origin. Now, I'll give you a little. You're now a holy lord. You're not far from becoming a holy emperor. This darkness origin should help you become a holy emperor more easily. Wait a minute. Before the Dragon Emperor finished speaking, his pupil shrank. He shouted and jumped up. Where's my darkness origin? Where's the darkness origin I just gave you? Where's the darkness origin in your Dantian? The Dragon Emperor shouted. Hearing that, Tianyang had a strange look on his face. The moment this darkness origin entered Tianyang's Dantian, it was swallowed by the chaos origin. There was no reason at all. The source energy of a Saint Emperor was cleanly swallowed by the primal chaos source, leaving nothing behind for the heavenly sun. And after the chaos origin devoured the darkness origin, it grew countless times stronger. In Tianyang's mind, countless comprehensions about the Tao of darkness were born. But all these could not be compared to the darkness origin, okay? The chaos origin was a robber. A robber. You have the power of the origin in your body. After shouting for a long time, the Dragon Emperor thought of a possibility and said in disbelief, a holy lord had the power of the origin in his body? The origin was the territory of a holy emperor. Yes, Tianyang said. Hearing that, the Dragon Emperor was speechless. Good fellow, awesome. Then, the Dragon Emperor scratched his head. Now I don't know what to give you. Don't leave first. I'll go back to the dragon demons and think about what to give you. Tianyang nodded and walked out of the Demon Dragon Palace. Although this Dragon Emperor might be an existence that was not weaker than the world's scorching Demon Emperor and could beat up old ancestor Xian Yuan. But for some reason, when Tianyang talked to him, he felt like he was talking to his childhood neighbor, little Blackie, without any arrogance. Then, Tianyang kicked the door of the Demon Dragon Palace and walked out. Tianyang. The sound of the Demon Dragon Palace's door being kicked open scared the few people waiting outside so much that their hearts stopped. They thought that the demonic energy had finally broken through the defense of the Demon Dragon Palace and was ready to destroy the dragon demons. Seeing that it was Tianyang, they quieted down. As for Deliv, his face suddenly turned ferocious. How could it be? In an environment where the demonic energy was like a sea, how could Tianyang be alive? If Tianyang was alive, then he would be persecuted by the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. How could you be alive? Deliv roared, his eyes burning with anger. In the next moment, he rushed out. You're actually alive. Your body must be occupied by the demonic energy. Damn demonic energy, die. Deliv roared, and the dragon power of a peak earth great saint erupted. Seeing this, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince and Yun Xuanyuan's pupils constricted as they roared. Damn it. However, Deliv's dragon claws were about to crush Tianyang's head. At this moment, the Dragon Emperor yawned and walked out. Who is this guy? The Dragon Emperor was stunned. Then he saw Deliv's target clearly. Attacking my brother? Die, the Dragon Emperor said. At this moment, endless darkness enveloped the entire world. A dragon claw condensed. Boom! The dragon claw slammed down. Deliv didn't even have time to constrict his pupils before he was turned into a pile of mud by the dragon claw. Then, the Dragon Emperor curled his lips. I don't care what grudges you have. Chapter 1364. Does anyone have a problem with me protecting him? The Dragon Emperor smiled faintly. Although his face was pale and his voice was weak, it didn't sound very intimidating. However, when they heard this, everyone's expression changed drastically. In the Xintian Great World, there was only one dragon demon who dared to call himself emperor. There was only one, the Dragon Emperor. When the crowd took a closer look, they realized that although the person in front of them was very different from the evil Sky Dragon Emperor, his face was the same face that they had seen in the demonic dragon palace. Father! Father! The demonic dragon crown prince was trembling all over. Looking at the Dragon Emperor, his face was filled with surprise. In the next moment, he pounced on him. Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor was stunned. He reached out and took the demonic dragon crown prince. After pondering for a moment, he asked, Who are you? The demonic dragon crown prince. Other than the Dragon Emperor himself, everyone else was speechless. The demonic dragon crown prince was about to cry. Okay? Oh. I remember. Don't cry, don't cry. At this moment, the Dragon Emperor patted his head and hugged the demonic dragon crown prince. But hearing this name, everyone's mouth twitched. Little Katja, the little one at the front and the two at the back were stacked together. The moment the murderous aura burst out, it felt very out of place. The demonic dragon crown prince quickly adjusted his posture and stepped back. He said seriously, Father, you're finally awake. The Dragon Emperor smiled. That's right. Even if the Dragon Emperor looked weak, as long as the Dragon Emperor stood there, it was as if he was the center of the world. It made people unconsciously look at the Dragon Emperor. This terrifying power could almost change the world. Then, is there anyone else who wants to? What's your name? At this moment, the Dragon Emperor remembered that he didn't even know what Tianyang was called. Tianyang. Tianyang felt a little helpless. This Dragon Emperor, did his brain get caught in a door when he was young? Yes. Is there anyone else who wants to attack this Tianyang brother? Dragon Emperor laughed. Hearing this, everyone shook their heads, not to mention that they had no intention of attacking Tianyang in the first place. Even if they did, who would dare to say it now? Didn't you see that the great sage at the peak of the Earth Grade, the great elder of the dragon demons, Deliv, was smashed into a pulp by the Dragon Emperor without hesitation? By the way, who is this guy? Why does he have the aura of my dragon demons? The Dragon Emperor looked at the mud on the ground and muttered. The demon dragon crown prince was also sweating. So you really didn't care about anything and just killed Delifu. It's Grand Elder Deliv. The demon dragon crown prince braced himself and said. He was the pillar of the dragon demons. The Dragon Emperor had just resolved the demon blood crisis and came out of seclusion, and he killed his own Grand Elder? Deliv. Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor was stunned. Oh, it's him. It's fine. He's just in great sage at the peak of the Earth Grade. So what if he's dead? How dare he attack Brother Tianyang? Even if I didn't kill him, Brother Tianyang could have killed him. The Dragon Emperor didn't care at all, as if the life and death of his Grand Elder wasn't important at all. At this moment, Tianyang's body trembled. He understood why the Dragon Emperor was called evil by others. It wasn't because of Dragon Emperor Xietian's viciousness. It was because of Dragon Emperor Xietian's indifference towards life that came from his bones. He didn't care about any life at all, even if it was his own Grand Elder. Why are there people from the Void Mountain? How come there are all kinds of dragon demons in the 1,000 years I've been in seclusion to suppress the demon blood? The Dragon Emperor frowned slightly and said. Hearing this, Master Chun was immediately scared out of his wits. He hurriedly said, I'm also here to treat Lord Dragon Emperor. Oh, then you're quite useless, the Dragon Emperor said. Hearing this, Master Chun was helpless. How could this Dragon Emperor be so straightforward? But he could only nod. Yes, in terms of alchemy, I'm still not as good as Master Tianyang. That's fine. Then, who's the little guy with the Xian body? The Dragon Emperor turned his gaze to Yun Xianyuan and said. There was a hint of seriousness in his words. Obviously, he also knew the power of the Xian body. She's my companion. Tianyang smiled. Oh, hearing this, the Dragon Emperor nodded. Since she's brother Tianyang's companion, then let's go together. Little Katja, you follow too. In the next moment, the Dragon Emperor waved his hand, and countless dark dragon power gathered into a leaf. It carried the Dragon Emperor, Tianyang, Yun Xianyuan, and the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, and flew towards the other center of the Dragon Demons. It was the Elder Hall where the Demon Dragon Crown Prince wanted to impeach De Li Fu. Before Tianyang could feel the change in space, the leaf suddenly disappeared. And when Tianyang looked carefully, the scene in front of him was completely different. His heart was filled with astonishment. This Dragon Emperor not only cultivated the Tao of darkness to the realm of condensing the origin, even the Tao of space was incomparably powerful. At least, even if Tianyang had comprehended an incomparably terrifying sword technique like instant time and space, he wouldn't be able to make his space displacement as powerful as the Dragon Emperor's. Okay, let's go. At this moment, the Dragon Emperor spoke. Looking at the tightly shut door of the Elder Hall, he lazily walked up and kicked it. Just like how Heavenly Sun destroyed the Demon Dragon Palace's door with a kick, Dragon Emperor Xietian also destroyed the Elder Hall's door with a kick. Who dares to invade the Elder Hall? In an instant, countless experts charged out from the Elder Hall. Each of them was at least a spiritual grade, great sage. They had just appeared, and there were already 4 of them. More than the Xianyuan family. The Xianyuan family, with 1 human grade great sage, 2 spiritual grade great sages, and 1 earth grade great sage, already occupied the throne of the Xiantian Great World's #1 family. But what about the dragon demons? Just now, including the Demon Dragon Crown Prince, there were 5 great sages. Moreover, Tianyang could also feel that there were tyrannical auras in the vicinity that were rapidly approaching. Is this the foundation of the dragon demons? As expected of a super family, Tianyang was shocked. Previously, his greatest enemy was only the Xianyuan family. But the Xianyuan family was nothing in the vast Xiantian Great World. However, Tianyang's heart didn't sink because of this blow. Instead, it burned with a raging fighting spirit. His heart of martial arts grew stronger when faced with a strong opponent. The Dragon Emperor also noticed a change in Tianyang's state of mind, and his eyes revealed a look of approval. At this moment, the elders who came first recognized the Dragon Emperor's face. One by one, their bodies trembled, and those who came next fell to their knees with a plop. Chapter 1365. Greetings, Lord Dragon Emperor. Mortal-ranked, spirit-ranked, and even earth-ranked great sages cried out in trembling voices. Dragon Emperor's expression remained unchanged. He waved his hand casually. Rise, rise. Then he looked around and raised an eyebrow. Where's that old man, Dawudi? Hearing this, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was stunned. A white-haired old man said with a trembling voice, Lord Supreme Elder, because 300 years ago he fought against 3 heaven-grade great saints alone. He was severely injured and on the verge of death. Now, he should be recuperating in the depths of the dragon demon blood pool. Hearing this, Dragon Emperor Xietian frowned, and his face darkened. Then, I've been sleeping for 1,000 years. What's the matter? The old man trembled and spoke again. 3rd Elder, Lord Ikengwu was ambushed by 3 arhats from the blessed land of West Buddha and the Bodhi sect when he went out. He died before he could return to the dragon demons. Moreover, the 3 heaven great saints who attacked the dragon demons and injured Grand Supreme Elder were bodhisattvas from the 3 major Buddhist sects of the blessed land of West Buddha. 200 years ago, the three major Buddhist sects of the blessed land of West Buddha joined forces and attacked the dragon demons again. The dragon demons had no choice but to forcefully seal the world. However, in this invasion, thousands of people died. Saying this, the old man's eyes flickered with anger. Hearing this, Dragon Emperor Xie Tian's face darkened. What a bald wasteland! 1,000 years ago, they used the shitty power of will and the power of the blessed land of West Buddha to injure me. Now, they dare to invade the dragon demons? This debt will be settled sooner or later. Dragon Emperor Xie Tian snorted coldly. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Flames of hatred burned in his eyes. However, this time, I didn't come to the Elder Hall to ask you to start a war with the blessed land of West Buddha. Evil Sky Dragon Emperor said. Hearing this, most of the elders heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid that the Dragon Emperor would start a war with the blessed land of West Buddha. Even with the Dragon Emperor, the dragon demons would suffer heavy casualties. Let's go. This isn't the place to talk. Little Sha, Brother Tianyang and his companions, follow me. Evil Sky Dragon Emperor said. Everyone nodded and walked into the Hall of Elders. Soon, the 28 elders of the demonic dragon clan, except for the Li Fu, all gathered in the Elder Hall. How did Your Excellency Dragon Emperor come out of his deep sleep this time? Everyone took their seats one by one. Finally, an old man opened his mouth and asked in confusion. For the past 1,000 years, the Dragon Emperor's condition had been deteriorating day by day. Even the Demon Dragon Crown Prince had to go to the Dragon God Ancestral Land to obtain a mediocre Dragon King's inheritance and inject the treasures into the formation. The reason why the Demon Dragon Crown Prince wanted Tianyang's Azure Mystical Flame was to use its strong vitality to prolong the Dragon Emperor's life. However, prolonged life could only solve the immediate problem. No matter how strong the Azure Mystical Flame was, it couldn't save the Dragon Emperor. It was very likely that Dragon Emperor Xie Tian would die as time went on. Therefore, the Dragon Emperor's condition had always been a big problem for the dragon demons. What surprised them was that there was no news about the sudden turn for the better. This time, I have to thank Brother Tianyang. Without him, I might have died. Dragon Emperor laughed and pushed Tianyang forward. Human. Seeing Tianyang, the 27th elder's face showed traces of anger. He roared and almost attacked. Quiet, Dragon Emperor snorted. Are you all retarded? You fight whenever you see a human? Hearing this, the 27th elder's expression relaxed a lot. However, the vigilance in his eyes didn't disappear. After all, most of the Western Buddha Pure Land was made up of humans, and those who invaded the dragon demons were all humans. It was natural for them to be hostile to humans. Brother Tianyang, you single-handedly resolved my demonic blood eruption and all the demonic chi. Otherwise, I would still be in the formation and could be destroyed by the demon chi at any time. Dragon Emperor Xie Tian shouted. Hearing this, everyone's face was filled with shock. First, they were shocked that the Dragon Emperor was in a deep sleep because of the dragon demon's demon blood. Second, they were shocked that Tianyang could solve the Dragon Emperor's demon blood. That was the Saint Emperor's demon blood. This brother of mine is not ordinary. Do you know anything about him? Dragon Emperor was about to continue bragging when he suddenly stopped and turned to ask. If emotions could be visualized, Tianyang would be speechless. I know about Tianyang's deeds. At this time, an elder spoke and looked at Tianyang with a burning gaze. The first time he appeared, he was in Jiangbei City in Donghai State. He beat up all the aristocratic families in Jiangbei City. Then, he was in Dongxin State, Immortal Level. Then, for some reason, he suddenly appeared in Dantian State and won the Myriad Pills ceremony. Then, he returned to Dantian State and severely injured a half-saint Songhai sect. Then, he appeared in the spiritual state and entered the Nine-Universe Sky Ruins. After coming out of the Nine-Universe Sky Ruins, he came to Flowing Sky City and entered the True Dragon Sacred World. Then, he suddenly disappeared for a period of time. When he returned, he went to the Snow Sky Holy Mountain with the Red Dragon Saint and turned the Snow Sky Fox clan upside down. Then, he went to the ancestral land of the dragon god and obtained some kind of inheritance. After coming out, he killed the Thunder Saint Supreme Saint and the Blood Butcher Supreme Saint. Then, he joined forces with the True Dragon Sacred World to kill the Blood Soul Supreme Saint. Then, he went to the Xianyuan family alone and killed them until only two people were left, the Xianyuan family patriarch and the Xianyuan family patriarch. After being severely injured by the Xianyuan patriarch, he suddenly escaped and appeared in the southern Devil Sea. Then, he went to Chaos Demon City with the help of the Sky Underworld Demon Sect and defeated the Lion Tiger Saints. Then, he went to the Zongjua mountain range. In the Zongjua mountain range, he entered the ancient dark castle of the world Inferno Demon Emperor. Then, he came to our dragon demons. The elder said. Hearing this, Tianyang's face revealed a look of surprise. Godly, even he didn't remember it so clearly. Are you in charge of the Star Demon Trading Company? Tianyang asked curiously. Hearing this, the elder was stunned. How did you know? As expected, only an existence like the Star Demon Trading Company could collect Tianyang's information so clearly. However, there were some secrets that even the Star Demon Trading Company didn't know. For example, the Demon Star, Yun Xianyuan, and Ling Yuhan. Damn, you're so awesome. Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor was stunned. He looked at Tianyang with eyes full of admiration. How King awesome did he have to be able to do this? Hearing this, Tianyang was once again speechless. He didn't know how to respond. Cough, cough. That's why Brother Tianyang is so awesome. Do you guys understand? The Dragon Emperor coughed twice and said. In the next moment, the Dragon Emperor turned to Tianyang. What do you need? Hearing this, everyone raised their heads and looked at Tianyang. Saving the Dragon Emperor was a huge favor for the dragon demons. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince promised me a reward. Tianyang smiled and looked at the Demon Dragon Crown Prince. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince was stunned. He suddenly remembered that during the month of waiting for Tianyang, he went to get the fragment of the Great Void Sword embryo. No matter if Tianyang was dead or alive, he would give it to him. Oh, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince didn't expect that he would give it to him. He hurriedly took out the fragment of the Great Void Sword embryo and handed it to Tianyang. As for Tianyang, he held the fragment of the Great Void Sword embryo and felt the aura coming from it. His lips curled up into a smile. After so long, the fragment of the Great Void Sword embryo was finally in his hands. Moreover, this fragment was bigger than Tianyang imagined. Who knows, it might bring about a huge evolution of the Great Void Sword embryo. Go, 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 the Dragon Emperor said unhappily. Just a fragment of a broken sword? Are you looking down on the dragon demons or me? Hearing this, Tianyang was stunned. What did he mean? Say, what do you want? The dragon demons can give it to you. P.S. Why did you update early today? Because today is Chinese Valentine's Day. The author still doesn't have a girlfriend. So the author wants to celebrate Chinese Valentine's Day with the manga. Chapter 1366. What? Tianyang stared blankly at the excited Dragon Emperor. His mouth twitched. What did you just hear? Little Kacha, you're not being particular. Brother Tianyang saved my life, and you gave him a broken sword fragment? Dragon Emperor said unhappily. Although Dragon Emperor himself wasn't very generous, Tianyang was different. He saved the Dragon Emperor's life. Even the evil Sky Dragon Emperor himself wouldn't be able to bear such an existence's broken sword fragment. Say what you want. I think there's nothing in the Xiantian great world that I, the Dragon Emperor, can't do. Dragon Emperor Xietan boldly sat down on a stool and spoke in a heroic manner. Tianyang's mouth twitched. Say what you want. But Tianyang didn't have anything he wanted. He couldn't ask the Dragon Emperor to give more of the darkness origin for the origin of chaos to eat. That's not right. At this time, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince's expression became strange. Father, what did you call Tianyang? Dragon Emperor was stunned. Brother Tianyang. He saved my life. Isn't that enough to be called my brother? No, no. Demon Dragon Crown Prince's face fell. Enough, of course it's enough. But Tianyang was Dragon Emperor's brother. What did he call Tianyang? He was the one who called Tianyang brother first. Speaking of which, who did you say Tianyang has a grudge against? Dragon Emperor said. The elder who was in charge of the Star Demon Trading Company, or possibly the entire Dragon Demon's intelligence network, stood up. Jiangbei City, Songhai Sect, Banten Simun, Medicine God Sect. That doesn't count. Snow Fox Clan, Xinyuan family, and some others we haven't found yet. The others are too cheap. Let's just talk about the Xinyuan family. I heard that the Xinyuan family harmed brother Tianyang quite a bit. Dragon Emperor Xie Tian curled his lips and said. Hearing this, not only the elder who spoke, but also the countless people present had goosebumps all over their bodies. Could be. How about this, brother Tianyang? I'll slaughter the Xinyuan family and avenge you. How about that? Dragon Emperor laughed. It was as if he wasn't talking about something big that could shake the entire Xintian great world, but stepping a few ants. The Dragon Emperor said nonchalantly. If a great saint at the peak of the heavenly grade wanted to become a saint emperor, the first thing they had to do was to comprehend the origin of the great Tao and condense it. For example, the Dragon Emperor walked the great Tao of darkness and condensed the darkness origin to become a saint emperor. The Xinyuan family patriarch was stuck between the peak of the heavenly grade great saint and the saint emperor because he hadn't truly condensed the origin. He only walked the great saint great path. It was extremely difficult to condense the origin. Even Evil Sky Dragon Emperor was only able to condense it by chance. It was unknown how many great saints at the peak of the heaven grade had been stuck at this stage since ancient times. That was why Tianyang had condensed the origin that only saint emperors could condense as soon as he stepped into the saint realm. That was why he attracted the saint emperor's tribulation. Of course, Tianyang didn't know. Even a vast expanse saint spirit only knew a little about it. But the others knew about the dragon demons. In front of Dragon Emperor Xietian, a half-holy emperor who had yet to condense an origin, who had condensed an origin of darkness, was a half-holy emperor. He was a piece of trash. No need. However, at this moment, Tianyang said calmly, "Let me take revenge myself." Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor raised his eyebrows. Everyone's expression changed. To Evil Sky Dragon Emperor, half-holy emperors were just trash. However, to a saint like Tianyang, a half-saint emperor was like the moon in the sky, unreachable. Tianyang might not even be able to touch a half-saint emperor in his entire life. Tianyang gave up such a great opportunity for revenge. I will flatten the entire Xinyuan family myself, Tianyang said calmly. Although his voice wasn't loud, it contained an indestructible determination. The entire Elder Hall was silent for a moment. That's right. Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor smiled. Men, it's better to take revenge themselves. Let's not talk about this. I don't know why the darkness origin disappeared just now. I guess you don't walk the Tao of darkness, so let's forget about it. Why don't I give you power and push you straight to the great saint realm? That way, you can mess with the Xinyuan family. The Dragon Emperor said. Hearing this, Tianyang hurriedly shook his head. Would you power? After that, the perfect foundation that he had painstakingly honed for more than 30 years would be ruined. Why don't I give you the strongest cultivation technique of the dragon demons? No, you can't use it because you're a human. I have a Holy Emperor weapon here. No need. I'll give you a small world, no need. Then I'll give you some cultivation insights of the Holy Emperor. Thank you for your kindness. The Dragon Emperor kept bringing it up, but Tianyang was speechless and rejected them one by one. The more he talked, the more ridiculous it became. Even Nyo, who was only 30,000 years old next door, came out. If not for the fact that the Dragon Emperor had a 99% chance of losing, Tianyang would have beaten him up. Then what do you want? After talking for a long time, the Dragon Emperor had no choice but to spread his hands. He seemed to be determined to give Tianyang something to repay Tianyang. That's right, he saved his life, and even more so, his race. How about this? At this moment, Tianyang spoke. Everyone was stunned. They thought that Tianyang didn't want to repay him. Some of the dragon demons, elders who were hostile to the human race, snorted in disdain. In the end, they still had a favor to ask of the Dragon Emperor. Master, why did you call me? At this moment, a figure flashed beside Tianyang. Ling Yuhan, who had just been awakened by Tianyang from her cultivation, appeared in front of everyone. Ling Yuhan's originally ice-blue long hair had already become translucent like real ice. Her pair of eyes were also filled with the remnant azure chill of the Nine Heavens underworld seal. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. What was Tianyang trying to do by calling someone out? This is my wife, Tianyang said. Ling Yuhan blushed and lowered her head. Tianyang said, your wife. The Dragon Emperor frowned slightly. He seemed to have noticed something about Ling Yuhan. Because of the Xinyuan family, she almost died. Now that she's finally back, she lost a lot of life force. There's even some origin force that's difficult to recover. As Tianyang spoke, he raised his head and looked straight at the Dragon Emperor. Chapter 1367. What? Hearing this, Siet Tian, Dragon Emperor, and the others were stunned. That's all you want? Dragon Emperor was a little surprised. You should know that when I said I would give you one condition, I really meant it. I think your partner's condition isn't too serious. Even if I don't do anything, she can recover quickly with time. Dragon Emperor said. Hearing that, Tianyang still smiled faintly. But I still want to do it this way. Hearing that, Ling Yuhan sized up Dragon Emperor curiously. Master, who is this person? These days, she had been cultivating, healing, and playing with Luo Luo in the Vientiane Sky ruins. She didn't pay attention to what was happening outside. In order to protect Ling Yuhan, Tianyang also split a portion of his true origin to protect the surroundings of the Vientiane Sky ruins when he was devouring the demonic qi. Therefore, Ling Yuhan really didn't know what was happening outside if she didn't look outside. Dragon Emperor. Tianyang chuckled. As if he was afraid that Ling Yuhan didn't know what Dragon Emperor was, he added, the strength of a holy emperor. What? Ling Yuhan was instantly stunned. Then, his expression abruptly changed. Saint Emperor, Holy Emperor, the terrifying existence that stood at the top of the pyramid of Tianshao Great World. Previously, Patriarch Xinyuan, who forced her to use the Nine Heavens Dark Seal, was only a half-holy emperor. This ordinary-looking middle-aged man in front of her was actually a real holy emperor? Wait, what did he say? What did he want to do? Wait. Just as Dragon Emperor was about to agree, Ling Yuhan suddenly shouted, Wait, Master, you want this holy emperor to help me recover faster. Ling Yuhan turned to look at Tianyang and asked seriously. Yes. Tianyang smiled and rubbed Ling Yuhan's icy long hair. No, Ling Yuhan said angrily. Sister Yin has already told me. You were frozen by my power of the 9 underworlds. There might be some side effects. I can handle this matter myself. Why should I waste the Holy Emperor's help? That, Lord Xie Tian Dragon Emperor, please check if Master has any injuries. Ling Yuhan said hurriedly. Hearing this, the expression on Dragon Emperor Xie Tian's face became somewhat strange. Little guy, are you unable to sense Brother Tianyang's condition? Hearing this, Ling Yuhan was stunned, then turned to look at Tianyang. He closed his eyes and sensed for a moment. His originally worried expression instantly collapsed. Previously, Tianyang was only an advanced sage. How long had he become a sage? Since he had already achieved a breakthrough in his cultivation, it was impossible for him to suffer from any side effects. So, listen to Master obediently. Tianyang flicked Ling Yuhan's forehead and smiled. Then, I'll have to trouble Senior Dragon Emperor. Don't call me Senior. What's our relationship? We've been through life and death together. But I really think you're wasting it. Dragon Emperor waved his hand indifferently. Then, with a move, the power of darkness surged around Ling Yuhan's body. Then, the power of darkness turned into the purest power of the origin of heaven and earth. Infusing the power of the origin directly, any injury can be cured. Dragon Emperor smiled. In an instant, the purest power of the origin surged into Ling Yuhan's body. Ling Yuhan's body, which had been severely damaged by the underworld sealing 9 heavens, instantly recovered by a lot under the nourishment of the powerful power of the origin. Moreover, a part of the power of the origin was absorbed by Ling Yuhan's dantian. It seemed that a trace of it had turned into Ling Yuhan's own power. At this moment, the power of the origin quickly finished repairing Ling Yuhan's internal organs and transferred to Ling Yuhan's mind. However, the moment it touched her forehead, Dragon Emperor's expression changed. Just as he was about to increase the power of control, he suddenly realized. He lost control between himself and the power of the origin. Done? Tianyang looked at Ling Yuhan, who did not seem to have changed, and asked, Done. Although he did not know what happened just now, it seemed that the power of the origin was absorbed by Ling Yuhan extremely well. Therefore, Dragon Emperor Tian couldn't be bothered and said, However, this family is very strange. This Tianyang could eat my power of darkness, and this Ling Yuhan could swallow the pure power of the origin left behind after I remove the power of darkness. Then, at this moment, the elder who was obviously hostile to the human race hurriedly spoke. At this moment, Dragon Emperor spoke again. However, this trivial matter isn't enough to make up for the life of the Dragon Emperor. Am I right? Dragon Emperor Xie Tian said faintly. His tone revealed a trace of arrogance. Hearing this, the demon dragon crown prince's expression changed slightly. Is father angry? That's right, he tried so hard to get Tianyang to agree, and now that he agreed, he did not give the Dragon Emperor any face at all. The demon dragon crown prince hurriedly gave Tianyang a look, telling him to quickly say a few words to ease the atmosphere. I think it's enough. Tianyang chuckled. At this moment, an elder slammed the table and stood up, glaring at Tianyang. What did you say? A world compared to a saint emperor, a world is still stronger. Tianyang chuckled. Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor was stunned, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince was stunned, the Elder was stunned, and even Ling Yuhan was stunned. Ling Yuhan did not say a word and directly hugged Tianyang's arm, while the Dragon Emperor's lips curled up slightly. A beautiful figure seemed to have appeared in front of him. You're quite good with words. All right, this matter is over. The Dragon Emperor smiled. Anyway, he was just scaring Tianyang before, and he truly recognized Tianyang as a friend. However, you have to agree to the next thing. Of course, it's within my ability. That's good. The Dragon Emperor stood up and looked around. Then, his lips curled up into a sly smile. Then, I announced that from today onwards, Tianyang is the honorary Great Elder of the Dragon Demons. His authority is the same as the Great Elder, but his status. The Dragon Emperor paused for a moment, and at this moment, the elders who were dropped a bomb by the Dragon Emperor were completely stunned. What honor! What great elder! A human became the Great Elder of the Dragon Demons? Instantly, there were elders who spoke, and there was more than one. Lord Dragon Emperor, seeing him is like seeing me. The Dragon Emperor spoke again, and in an instant, the whole place was silent. This sentence was equivalent to a hammer strike. Without the Dragon Emperor, the Dragon Demons would discuss matters in the Elder Hall. With the Dragon Emperor around, the Dragon Demons and the Dragon Emperor were the absolute authority. No one dared to change what he had decided, and no one could change it. The corner of Tianyang's mouth twitched. What was this? He was a human. How could he become the Great Elder of the Dragon Demons? All right, I see that you're cultivating the dragon body. The Dragon Demons have a treasure. Shall I show it to you? At this moment, Dragon Emperor Xie Tian spoke again with a malicious smile on his face. Then, Honorary Great Elder, will you give this Dragon Emperor some face? Hearing this, Tianyang was speechless. However, if he said it out loud, Tianyang would not go back on his words. Chapter 1368. By the way, what is it? Tianyang asked curiously as they walked into the depths of the Dragon Demons. Because the Dragon Emperor kept asking, Tianyang didn't want to embarrass the Dragon Emperor too much, so he agreed. However, even now, Tianyang still didn't know what kind of treasure the evil Sky Dragon Emperor wanted him to see. The Dragon Demon's most powerful place for seclusion. The demon dragon crown prince, who was leading the way, said enviously. The dragon emperor had just woken up, so there were many things he needed to deal with. Therefore, it was impossible for the dragon emperor to lead the way himself. In view of the fact that there were many demonic dragons who were hostile to the human race, the responsibility of leading the way fell on the demon dragon crown prince's head. The most powerful place for seclusion. Tianyang was slightly shocked. The dragon demons were definitely much stronger than the Xianyuan family. Before destroying the Xianyuan family, Tianyang already felt how terrifying the altar that imprisoned Xianyuan Qingming under the Xianyuan family head mansion was. Even Tianyang couldn't compare to it. The dragon demon's most powerful place for seclusion was naturally stronger than the Xianyuan family's altar. That's right. Although it doesn't help one's cultivation, it's one of the most powerful cultivation places in the Xiantian great world for the power of the primordial spirit and the physical body. The demon dragon crown prince said. Then, the scene in front of them suddenly changed. A huge hole appeared in front of Tianyang, Ling Yuhan, Yun Xianyuan, and the demon dragon crown prince. This is it, the demon dragon crown prince said proudly. His voice was filled with envy. This is the most powerful cultivation place of the dragon demons, the dragon demon 1000 refining pagoda. Tianyang and the other two were stunned. What was that? The one in front of him was clearly a trap. Are you sure it's not some dragon demon 1000 refining pagoda? Tianyang said with a strange expression. The demon dragon crown prince chuckled. Those who come here for the first time, whether they're dragon demons or not, will say that. However, although it looks like a hole, it's actually a huge pagoda. Father said that the reason why the dragon demon 1000 refining pagoda looks like a hole from the outside is because the space-time inside the pagoda, it's space and time, it's inverted. However, the use of the power of space seems to be even better than the origin. It is no longer a product of this world. Therefore, Imperial Father has not been able to fully understand it. Dragon demon 1000 dragons refining pagoda, the demon dragon crown prince said. The way the dragon demon divine refining pagoda, the dragon demon divine refining pagoda, and the way the dragon demon's dragon goddess to the realms of the Ovid of the divine realm. Emperor of gods to dragon to the dragon of divine refining. God realm. Ever since Tianyang had broken through to the saint realm, he had heard of this realm more than once. Be it the sky tyrant dragon god, the snow sky fox god, or the mysterious profound god that Xianyuan Kongming had mentioned, or the terrifying power that Ling Yuhan had released when she had awakened. All of these seemed to point to the same realm, the God realm. The Heaven's Expanse Saint Spirit also had a feeling that the original appearance of the Heaven's Expanse Saint Palace was related to the God realm. Among the dragon demons, there was actually a God realm creation. Tianyang couldn't help but pay attention to it. However, if the demon dragon 1000 refining pagoda is calculated according to natural time, it will require another 288 years before it can be opened again. Thus, this time around, Imperial Father used the might of the Dragon Emperor to forcibly open it. Therefore, Tianyang, not only can you go in alone, you can only stay in there for 1 to 2 months. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said. Tianyang nodded slightly, indicating that he understood. I wonder if I can release Ling Yuhan after keeping her in the Vientiane Sky Ruins. Tianyang thought for a while, then smiled and said, I understand. Thank you. You saved Father's life. That's what you should do. Then, I'll take my leave first. The Demon Dragon Crown Prince said with a smile, then flew towards the center of the dragon demons in a flash. With the Dragon Emperor's revival, not only did the Dragon Emperor have a lot of things to do, the Demon Dragon Crown Prince also had a lot of things to do. Then Tianyang raised his head and looked at the Dragon Demon 1000 refining pagoda that was called a pagoda, but was actually a trap. Yuhan, Yin Xianyuan, you two go back to the Vientiane Sky Ruins first. Tianyang said, then waved his hand, and a door to the Vientiane Sky Ruins opened. After Master goes in, can we go in as well? Ling Yuhan asked curiously. Tianyang shook his head and said, not necessarily, but it's not a good idea to leave you outside. Then, Ling Yuan and Yun Xinyuan returned to the Vientiane Sky ruins, and Tianyang stepped into the Dragon Demon Thousand Refining Pagoda with the Darkness Origin Dragon energy given to him by the Dragon Emperor. Boom! Terrifying spatial ripples erupted in an instant. It was as if a meteorite had fallen into a pool of water. The surrounding space began to fluctuate wildly. The terrifying dragon energy of the Holy Emperor realm collided violently with the spatial restriction of the Dragon Demon Thousand Refining Pagoda. The surrounding space became extremely fragile as a result, and Tianyang's eyes lit up instantly. The collision between a Holy Emperor realm and a Godly realm spatial restriction. This was a rare opportunity. The surrounding spatial laws became much clearer at this moment, and Tianyang immediately entered a state of cultivation, crazily comprehending the space Tao that was released in this collision. Unfortunately, this collision didn't last for long. In less than 2 minutes, a spatial door opened in front of Tianyang. The surrounding spatial energy also gradually calmed down. Tianyang came to his senses and took a step forward, walking into it. In less than 2 minutes, my space Tao has become much stronger. A shapeless ball of distorted light flashed in Tianyang's hand, and in the next moment, Tianyang officially entered the Dragon Demon Thousand Refining Pagoda. There wasn't any dizziness, and Tianyang felt as if he had crossed a boundary after entering the spatial door. He instinctively felt a series of subtle changes in his surroundings, and he walked forward. This is... At this moment, Tianyang's pupils contracted as he looked up. He had walked into the Dragon Demon Thousand Refining Pagoda from the center of the pit. If it was really a pagoda, Tianyang should have walked down. But now, under Tianyang's feet was the deep black pit that he had seen before. Above him was the real Dragon Demon Thousand Refining Pagoda. This is space inversion. Tianyang revealed a trace of shock. This extremely mysterious method was simply terrifying. At this moment, Tianyang also realized that something was wrong. The gravity of the first level of the Dragon Demon Thousand Refining Pagoda